Hello, everybody. How is it going? Welcome back to the Pipeline. I'm your host, Daren McClymans. Guys, we have quite the show for y'all today. Bunch of interesting topics today. Supergirl potentially returning, Secret Invasion, full discussion, where was Daisy Johnson, and we are going to be ranking all of the Disney Plus MCU shows. Today, I'm joined by special guest, Exit over here. Connor, how's it going? How are you?
What's up?
It's always a pleasure to have you here. It's always
I like being on. It's always fun.
It's always fun. Like normally I was like, we can at least do this once a year, and we've done 3 this year. So we have
we did what was it, Oliver, and then
we did Oliver, and then we pitched our like DCU episodes.
Yeah, so we're doing good. We hit our quota pretty quick.
I know. It's been a good year. But no, I mean, this week has been kind of interesting because obviously we've been covering the strikes recently and everything that entails. And I said a couple weeks ago that, like, you know, with the strikes going on, there's still been a lot of news happening and coming out. And this has been the first week it's like, oh, it's kind of dry. Like, there's not much happening right now outside of the strikes. And, like, it's been a lot of, like, what if type stuff. Like, we've had the Fantastic Four stuff, which was insane. We've had the Gal stuff. That's been like, but it's all been like, this could be happening, but we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. But let's just dive into news because we definitely have quite the interesting amount of things to talk about today. First up here, the new Karate Kid film is reportedly set to bring back Jackie Chan. So this movie, man, this is a weird movie. I you know, we're both a big fan of the Cobra Kai series, and this movie was announced, and they said we're getting back into the basics of Karate Kid. We're like, okay, maybe it connects to Cobra Kai, maybe it connects to Daniel and stuff. But then they're like, well, it's not connecting to Cobra Kai. This is kind of its own thing. So we're like, oh, it's a reboot. Okay, fine, whatever. And then this comes out, and it's like, oh, it's a sequel to this, but there's no Jade. Doesn't seem like Jaden's in these talks at all. What do we think is happening with this movie? What do we think this thing is?
I would kind of prefer this than for it to be a whole new reboot with like Daniel and Johnny and all that, like new versions of them. I'd prefer them to leave Cobra Kai to do that. And for this, like if this is going to be connected to anything, I think connecting it to the Jackie Chan stuff's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I'm fine with like a reboot. I think that's fine, right? Like reboots aren't my favorite, but I rather that than you be like, yeah, that Cobra Kai show, it's not canon. Suck it. Like that's my biggest fear.
For sure.
Is for them to be like, oh yeah, that stuff never happened, and this is 20 years after the original. Like that's my fear.
Yeah.
So I would say if it is a reboot, fine. I think a sequel to the Jackie Chan, Jaden stuff. I actually really enjoy that movie. I think it's a fun movie.
I like it too. It's pretty good.
But I do wonder if it is a little random after all these years. You know what
I
mean?
It is a bit random, yeah.
Like, do people care enough to go see this if it is that? And if it is a reboot, I feel like that's very confusing to bring back Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. But it feels to me like they don't want to do like a normal Johnny Lawrence, Daniel LaRusso sort of movie because they're like, oh, the Cobra Kai fandom would freak out. So do something with Jackie Chan because people at least would know he was in a Karate Kid kind of thing. It reminds me of like, you know, like the next Karate Kid, the one that had Miyagi but not Daniel. It's like that. If they get Jackie Chan, it's like him but not Jaden.
So it's that same universe but with a different kid, kind of.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wouldn't be against that, I suppose. Kind of a fresh thing. I don't know. Like there's still part of me that's like, it'd be cool if we could get like a Cobra Kai movie that wrap everything up. That'd be really
cool.
But anyway,
maybe they will do that.
I mean,
like a Netflix movie.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
like I've been waiting. Like I think it'd be so cool if you can get like Jackie Chan for the like Cobra Kai movie because like
that'd be really
there's
cool.
nothing like or show. I mean, but like because there's nothing. I don't think there's anything in this reboot that says it couldn't be canon to the other movies because they have different names and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think the only thing that they did was like, didn't the writers for Cobra Kai come out and say that they didn't consider the Jackie Chan stuff as canon or something, but they considered the animated series from like the 90s canon.
I didn't even know
It's
that
weird.
was a thing.
Yeah, I only found out about it very recently.
I had no idea. Looking at chat, Stranger, how's it going? This is a lot earlier than I expected. Yeah, no, I mean, normally we stream at like night, like 10 o'clock at night. So this is definitely a very big change. But just working around schedules, my schedule, your schedule, this was just the best time, I think.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's having a good day. You too, Stranger. You too. Stranger says, I'm telling you right now, I watch this turn out to be a sequel to the Jaden movie. Yeah. That, I mean, if he's involved, that would be my best guess. Already moving right along here. Barbie has officially passed $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Barbie Nation is upon us to exit. How are we feeling? Are we surprised about this at all?
I mean, no, I don't. I like it's a pretty popular IP. You know, like this was gonna do well no matter what. I feel like even if it was terrible, I think it would have made money.
Mm.
It's like the Mario film. You know, like people know what it is, so they were gonna go see it no matter what. I think it's people are taking the wrong inspiration from it though. Is like going forward with like Mattel now making a load of 40 something IP films. I don't know. Hopefully they don't go crazy with that. Like people want good movies, not just IPs on toys. They just want good movies.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm very curious to see how those do. Because I think a big part of why this was so popular was the meme culture around it. Like everyone wearing their pink shirts and their black shirts and the whole Barbieheimer thing, right? Like, I think that is a big reason why it did go so big. And I think a lot of the movies they announced could follow in that, just the meme culture, and that people need to see it because it's so ridiculous. Like, we have the Uno movie. Like, what's an Uno movie going to be? But everyone
I know, right?
To see what that is. But I think after a while, we're going to see like people getting like, I think that trick can only work a couple times.
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
think by the time, like by movie 5, we're gonna be like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think like some of the movies they announce, they just sound interesting as well. They do sound unique. Now they can end up being terrible. But like, it's not a lot of them are things you go, oh, I've seen that before, sort of thing, you know. But on top of that, I think Oppenheimer is the film that benefited the most from kind of the whole meme thing. Like I think Oppenheimer might not have done that well without it, whereas I think Barbie at least would have made some money. Maybe not as much as $1 billion, but still some money.
100%. Yeah, no, I mean, Oppenheimer was always going to do fine, right? Because there's that director name tied to it. But like, what is it, 500 million in like the first?
I think so, yeah.
Or something?
Which
like
that is really good for Nolan.
Yeah, and like a rated R like period piece, like that's insane.
Absolutely. Like I think his Batman films are the only ones that have ever done as well as Oppenheimer.
Yeah, good for Barbie. Moving along to our good buddy Blue Beetle now. This has been another one of our stories over the last couple months, especially since Flash came out, and we're like, all right, Blue Beetle, it's your turn. And it came out I think it was a weeks ago, and it was predicted, the whole run was like predicted for like 17 million. And we're like, that's very low. That's not good. Really and now it's looking like 30 million in the opening weekend, which is a big jump up. Why do we think this is? Do you think this movie is going to do better than we all project it to be?
I think it's definitely going to do better than people are thinking. I think outside of the US, this film is going to actually do quite well. In like South American places like that, I think Blue Beetle is going to be a surprise hit. But I also don't think it's going to do great. Like I think that marketing is only just really kicked off for it, and the film is already out next week. So it's not getting that push that it needs, which I think that the strike is definitely playing a part in that. But I think it'll do better than people are thinking, but I definitely don't think... I think it could do better than Flash, but I think probably not as good as
really
Black
funny.
Adam did. Yeah,
that'd be really
funny. Crazy. A DC film with Michael Keaton's Batman in it, and Blue Beetle made more than it. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really do think it's about, like, the reception of the movie. Like, I think
Yeah.
if everyone comes out and it's like, this is the amazing, greatest movie ever made, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, that people might be like, oh, I need to see this movie, right? Because I think
Yeah.
that's why Guardians did so well. I felt
Yeah,
like everyone was
absolutely.
like, is it a good MCU movie again? And everyone loved it, and everyone's like, oh, I guess we're gonna go see this movie, right?
Yeah.
And I think that might be if this movie does well or not. And obviously we've talked a lot about like the future of Blue Beetle in this universe, and we've talked about like no matter what, I think this guy's in the like new DC universe. Like, I think James Gunn likes him. Like, there's obviously plans. I just don't think we'll get a sequel, but I think he'll show up in other projects.
I agree with all that. I also just like, even linking it back to Cobra Kai, what we said a few minutes ago. I think people are underestimating the Cobra Kai fandom.
Yeah.
I think that's actually going to do some money, like get it some money. And I think as well that you kind of have to bring this version of Jaime into the DCU, because otherwise you can't do a new Jaime Reyes in the DCU for the first like 10 years since the last film before the DCU would have been him. Like, either bring Jaime in or you just can't do his character in the DCU.
Yeah, you would have to do like a Ted Cord or something.
Yeah.
Which is also why I'm afraid of The Flash, because I have no idea what you do with The Flash. Because you can't do another show. We just did a show.
Yeah.
Can't do probably won't do another live action movie.
Yeah.
Would you do
I think put them in team up things for a while.
Maybe.
Like, do like a Green Lantern Flash movie, or like something like that. Like a Flash Batman film.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I had my way, I would love like a animated Flash project. I think that'd be cool. Really sick. Like, not just like Spider-Verse, because I don't want every like movie to be like have that art style, but look at that on what you can do with the medium, because I think the Flash could look so cool in that medium.
Yeah, a Flash animated series could be really cool. It's like, Superman, Batman, Harley Quinn, they're kind of some of the only DC characters to get their own solo animated shows.
Yeah.
I feel like giving Flash one, I guess Green Lantern had an animated show as well, but giving Flash one would be really cool. Yeah,
100%. Melissa Benoist would love to play Supergirl again, so I don't know if you had saw this whole story.
I did a little bit, yeah.
So someone has sent in like I think it was either a $300 or $500 cameo to her.
Yeah.
Which is an insane amount of money.
I actually looked it up when I heard she's on, because I was like, oh, well, I'll support it, and then I saw it was like $500, and I was like, maybe not now.
No, I mean, I think it's very funny because like she had said the most like basic thing, like they had asked if you would ever come back, and it's like, well, like she wouldn't say no. She's not going to be like,
yeah,
fuck
absolutely.
No, I'm not.
I'm like, I hate those guys. I'm not coming back.
Fuck the CW. Like, no, like she wouldn't.
Yeah.
She wouldn't do that. But I mean, do you think there's a chance that we ever see her come back?
I mean, even in all the interviews she did, like right after Supergirl, like it's like it was kind of night and day difference between Melissa and Stephen Amell, because Stephen, for a while after Arrow, he was like dead set on saying that he would never come back, kind of thing. I remember the podcast he did with Michael Rosenbaum where he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm done. Like, there's no way I'd ever come back," sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then like that changed, obviously. Melissa was never like that. She was always like, I need to take a break from the character, but I'd be open to coming back down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she was never against coming back. You know, she just needed to not be doing Supergirl for 20 episodes a year, sort of thing. I think if the Arrowverse continued and there were more crossovers, I think if she was free, she would have showed up no problem. You know?
So. Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible timing for like everything. Like, we were all hoping she would have shown up during the Flash season 9.
Yeah, that would have been so good.
Yeah, I mean, we're at a point where I don't know if she'd ever have the opportunity to come back outside of like maybe like a multiverse thing in like 10 years where you bring back all the characters from all the other shows.
Yeah.
Well,
I know she's the most she is the definitive version of Supergirl.
100%
in live action. Like, there's I don't even think that there's a conversation. I think that she just is. You know?
Yeah. For now, at least. Like, I think by the time we get the new movie, but even like I would love if she played like a John Wesley Shipp type character in that movie. Like, maybe she plays her mom or something. I would
That'd
love
be cool.
if they did all that stuff. I've seen a lot of people say that she should play the Supergirl in the like DCU, and I'm pretty upfront where I was like, no, you need to start fresh with a lot of these guys.
I feel like that with everybody. I'm like, I don't want Grant Gustin playing the Barry Allen of the DCU. I don't want, like, I love them, but I think it needs to be fresh. It needs to be new versions of the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tough thing because, like, if they announced she's our new Supergirl, I'd be like, yeah, like, I'd be so excited, right?
Yeah.
But I think you do need to start fresh.
Yeah.
Again, like with Grant Gustin, I've said, hey, like a Jay Garrick in a couple years would be cool, right? Like, I'd be down for that. But yeah, I think you definitely need to start fresh.
Yeah, like I think something that'd be cool would even her being a legacy version of Supergirl that like she voices Supergirl in any upcoming animated projects. Like say Supergirl showed up in My Adventures with Superman, if she was really voiced by Melissa, I think that would be really cool. But I think like for a new movie universe, it needs to be fresh. It needs to be brand new.
Yeah, 100%. Shender said I would have loved one more musical crossover with Flash and Supergirl.
I was hoping they'd do that every year. Back when Duet came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. They're going to do this every year. And they never did it again.
Yeah, I mean, I love that crossover. I think that's so much fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think another one may have been a little overkill for me, but I wish they could have had at least one more crossover at all, because that was their last proper crossover, right? Was that freaking 2016? So
I mean, it did feel like they were setting up to do like a one episode Barry Kara thing every year, because it was like the year before that was the episode on Supergirl, then then Duet year was an episode on Flash. Like it felt like they were going to do that back and forth every year, and then they just that was also just the year of like the Legion of Doom and Legends and Invasion and all that. Like, well, Crisis on Infinite Earths was huge. I feel like that was the year with the most connectedness. Like, remember you would have like Barry cameoing on Arrow out of nowhere, where you'd have just a streak go by to show that like he brought Oliver and Diggle to somewhere. Like I missed that. I missed that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a clear change after Crisis on Earth X, where they're like, okay, we can't be doing this as much. I don't know if it was a price thing or if they were just like, it's too much for these actors.
I think it was too much for the actors.
It felt like we're like, okay, we will commit to one a year, and that's kind of it. And that's kind of,
I mean, after that was Elseworlds as well. So like you could tell that they were already kind of
phasing it
lessening the amount. Yeah,
100%. I miss those days though, quite a lot. Up next, this one's more for me, I guess. I don't know if you saw this one at all. Remakes of Tangled and Princess and the Frog are reportedly in the works at Disney. Early works at Disney. They can't do too much right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a weird time at Disney. I don't know if you've been following any of the like Bob Iger stuff recently.
A little bit, yeah.
He's been trimming house. Like he's been doing like, hey, they should be doing this. I don't like this. Like apparently he's canceled the like Hunchback reboot as well, because he just doesn't like that movie. So he's like, I'm not doing that one. Like he's talked about like trimming down Marvel and Star Wars, and
I did see that. Yeah,
a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think some of it's good, some of it's bad. Talking about this one in particular, I mean, I get it, right? Like these movies will do well. Both are very popular. I think the one thing that's just very interesting is like we're already diving into the revival era of Disney, I guess. Like they announced Moana several months ago, now Tangled, and now Princess and the Frog. Like these are like 10-year-old movies by this point. Like they're not very old. And I do think that's slightly concerning, because I thought we had a little longer until we really dived into these type movies and movies that I grew up with, right? Like it's very like I can justify like, oh, my parents movies they grew up with, it's fine if they get rebooted, but now that it's mine, it's like whoa, hold on. So it'll be very interesting. I like both these movies. I think they could be translated in live action relatively well compared to some of the others that like been announced over the last couple years. Like I would prefer like a Tangled over like a Lion King, just because I think there's more free reign there. Have you seen these movies at all?
I think I saw Tangled like 10 years ago. Haven't seen Princess and the Frog. Only thing I know is Zachary Levi in Tangled. That is that one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just confirming. That's kind of all I know. I did see the people saying that Zach's gonna start fighting to play the character when the remake comes out. That's all I've seen.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know who you cast, but maybe Zachary Levi
Jack
right
Quaid. Jack Quaid's and everything. Just get him to
Since,
be in it as well.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I Am Groot season 2 has been announced and is
Yeah.
officially releasing on September 6th over on Disney Plus. This was a wild announcement. No one saw this.
Yeah,
No one
just
knew
out of
season
nowhere.
2 was even a thing. Will you be watching I Am Groot season 2?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I didn't think that they'd give this any like fanfare when it's coming out. I kind of expected it to be like a quick drop sort of
Yeah,
thing, but
sure.
I didn't expect the Watcher to be in
Yeah.
any way involved in it. Like, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think that I don't know what we're doing with the Watcher, because
no
like
idea.
after What If, it seemed like that was going to be a pretty important part of like the Kang saga, but like
Yeah.
where does he fit in? Like, I assume we'll see him in live action at some point.
Yeah.
Just What If
I think
in
we
general,
got it right. Like,
no, I thought it was great. Yeah,
but like the whole What If thing. I mean, we should probably save. I mean, I should probably save this What If. What I'm about to say. But I feel like there was like an era there where it felt like Marvel was really ramping up. Like, you had like WandaVision, Loki, and What If all being really connected right before Doctor Strange 2 came out. Like, I was fully expecting all of that to tie into Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah,
to be like really important for it, and then it was kind of just like the Captain Carter thing, and that was sort of it from What If.
yeah.
I don't know.
I felt like Phase 4 had a direction there for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a connecting piece. I think What If is just in a very awkward spot in general, because like
where's season 2?
Season 2 was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, like where is it? Like, apparently it's done as well. I keep hearing it's done.
Because it's not this year. I hope not. It's this year, because then we'd have 8 projects this year, which is
it's
like,
a bit insane.
Like just 6 is like a lot.
Which there was a perfect time they dropped as well. There was like nothing besides Ant-Man and the Wasp for months this year.
Yeah,
like Secret Invasion didn't come out till June, so like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they made the right choice just because there won't be a lot next year. So I honestly
could be that.
Could actually conquer next year, because if they, I don't know, like I think what they're doing with Echo currently is very weird, because like them dropping
it's
it
worrying.
all at once. I was like, save it, like stop that, save it till next year, and then you can conquer. Like, you literally have Matt and the Kingpin in there. Like, you could conquer next year. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how far along things are. Like I know Agatha was coming to the end of filming, but I didn't hear if they were done. So that might not longer be coming out. I don't know.
I'm really confused on like where all the Marvel projects that are still to come out are in terms of like how close they are to being finished. If they're done filming, if they're still in development, if what, like I'm kind of, there was so much announced at once that I've found it hard to keep up with them unless they're already coming out. It's like, until the trailer comes out, I don't know where one of the projects is at, you know?
No, it like, especially since like there's been so much of like, oh yeah, this game pushed back to here, and here.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, so what does next year look like? Like movies we knew, like, I know the strike is going to change things, but like we knew Deadpool 3, Captain America 4, and the Thunderbolts, which I actually think is a really good lineup of movies. I think that's actually really solid. And then it's the shows. It's like, because I was thinking the other day, like, what's even still on the bracket? Because like they've done some weird things where they announced stuff, but they weren't officially announced. Like I know, like the Wonder Man show, like that was announced by like trades, but like there wasn't like a Comic-Con or something where they're like Wonder Man 2020 blah blah blah. Same with like
with Nova as well. Everybody kept saying Nova was a show.
Is Nova a thing?
I keep like everybody kept saying it was a thing, but it never actually got properly announced.
Vision Quest is like another weird one.
What was that? Like, where is White Vision? What's he up to?
I love the idea of the show. I think that could be really cool, but like I don't know if it's official. Like I don't know. It's weird.
And there's also things like Spider-Man freshman year. Like, where was that?
Yeah, I mean, it is still happening, I think.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
Like, I don't know where in the timeline. And you know, I actually quite like that it's not like MCU canon now. Like,
it's like adjacent to it. Or things are similar but different.
Yeah, and that has Matt too. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
X-Men 97, right? Like that's supposed to come out.
I keep forgetting that's the thing.
The rumor is like early next year, which is kind of hype. But we'll see. MCU.
There's also like the Daredevil live action show. Like, that's, I know obviously it's on pause at the moment because of strikes. If it's still filming, but wasn't that filming for a good 8-9 months before the strikes even happened? It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's they're spending ages filming things now, which I think is probably a good thing. But I don't know whether that, like, if that means they're having problems in the writing or in the filming of them, or if it just means that they're just taking their time with it.
I think Daredevil was definitely like I think it's a trial period show because this is their first like 8. Like this is like let's be honest, this is the real show, the first real show since like ever, really. They've done these 6-episode events type thing. This is an 18-episode show, so I wonder if it's a thing where like, too bad they didn't already film the back half of the first half, and they could air that and then film the rest later.
I thought they were gonna do that.
Which I think that's what they do. Like I think they might do like 9 weekly, then take a break, and then 9 weekly. I think is what they might do. But I mean, kind of getting back to this. Do you have any stake in the show? Like, do you have any? I guess theories. It's a weird show to say theories, but like
it is. Yeah. I mean, I've no idea what to expect with it. I kind of like when it came out. It was the kind of thing that I was like the morning it came out. I was like, oh, okay, I'll check that out tonight, I guess. And then I watched it in about half an hour because they were short, weren't they? They were like 6-7 minutes each.
Yeah. There's shorts. Yeah.
I remember really liking the last one.
Last one was great.
Yeah. And I don't think I had much of an opinion on the rest of them. I was like, yeah, okay.
I mean,
the watching this is cool. I don't know.
I think they're just cute shorts. Like there's not much there. Like I can't be like, curse, I am Groot. There's no structure. Like it's a fun short thing for kids, and I think that's fine. And like weirdly enough, I think it's one of these like MCU Disney Plus projects that knows what it is. Like,
that's fair.
I won't say I like it more than some of these other ones, but at least like they went in knowing, hey, these are 5-minute shorts, make 5-minute shorts, and that's what it was, and they put it out. And I would argue the same with these like presentations, where like they knew that they were these 15-minute specials, and that's what they were, and they were great. Yeah. So I think they need to do that with the shows as well. It'd be like, this is a show, make a show.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair, and I completely agree with that. It does feel like it's got a purpose, and it's sticking to that. Like it's not there to set up, a future movie or a future character. Yeah, like this isn't there to set up the Watcher because the Watcher's already been in What If. Like this is just them going, oh, we're doing a short. Wouldn't it be cool to put the Watcher in here? And that's pretty valid. Like that's a valid reason for them to make it.
It would be very funny if they're just like have all the big setup here. Like Kang shows up and he's like, I am here, Groot. It could be so funny.
Like Wonder Man and Nova in there.
Yeah. Stranger, why is he still a baby? Shouldn't he be a teenage Groot? Well, this is a prequel, right?
Yeah.
So this is in the
This is like between Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Or between Guardians 1 and Guardians 2. No, yeah, between Guardians 2 and Guardians 3. Or between Guardians 2 and Avengers, I guess.
It would be interesting if they kept going, if they just like went like further into the timeline. Like we have a season about teenage Groot or something.
They could do that for sure.
Or even like Buff Groot from Guardians 3.
Yeah. He still looks so weird. So weird. Like it's cool. It just it always looks so weird.
Yeah. Alrighty, moving into one of our main conversations for our show. Where the heck was that Daisy Johnson, Connor?
Yeah, where was she?
You promised Daisy Johnson.
I was promising everybody. I was like, Daisy Johnson's in the show. Just you wait. No, I started to kind of get a feeling she wasn't in it when out of nowhere all the leakers started saying she got cut. And I was like, no, there is no way she got cut. They wouldn't film scenes for her and cut them. Mm-hmm. Like, if she was in it, she would have been in it. Yeah, I mean, like, in retrospect, I don't know where she would have fit in the show. But, like, when we were hearing originally that, like, she was in it, like, when we heard the premise of the show, it sounded like she would fit in pretty well.
Yeah.
Once the show was actually out, I was like, I don't know where you could have put her,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you would have had to put an explanation for who she is in relation to Nick Fury and that, and it probably wouldn't have worked. But I think that, like, I don't blame Marvel in any way for not including her in this. I blame the leakers for knowing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans were going to go crazy if they thought she was in it, and then running with that. Like, I completely blame them for blowing this way out of proportion.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough one because, like I loved half of Secret Invasion. Those first 4, I loved the show. Like when you were talking about a bit, you didn't like it as much as I did. But I was liking the show so much that halfway through, I was like, I don't know if I want her in here anymore,
Yeah.
because I feel like that almost goes against what I thought the show was doing, as I thought
Yeah.
it was this very serious standalone character project for Nick Fury. And I
Yeah.
felt like if out of nowhere you're just like, Daisy Johnson's here, everybody start clapping. Like, I felt like if you did like this multiverse of madness type cameo thing,
Yeah.
it would have ruined what I thought the show was.
Yeah.
Now looking back on what the show became, you may as well have, like, the episode 6, you may as well just have had Daisy Johnson show up and
No, that's it
kill
as well. Yeah.
Rabbit.
But I think if they brought her in, there's like a very high chance they would have brought her in just to make her a Skrull, and I would have hated that. I would have been so annoyed if they did that.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to do with Coulson. Like, it was
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't do something with Coulson. Like, a Skrull makes himself look like Coulson to trick Nick, because they have such a deep thing.
Yeah.
But, that was also worrisome to me, because I was like, what will they have Coulson say? Like, will he have a line about, like, you couldn't save me from Loki or something like that? And it's like,
I think they would have. Yeah.
he did.
Because Loki did that itself when like Mobius says something. It's like, remember in the first episode of Loki when he's watching his past and his future play out, and they show the bit where Loki kills Coulson, and then Mobius is like, just like, yeah, Loki says he's gonna kill Mobius, and Mobius is like, just like you did to Coulson, or something like that. So I feel like that they're always playing that line where they're not outright saying that he's gone, but they're also, they're not confirming it to make it confusing for people who don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Sure, and I think there needs to be a lot. Like, I understand it's a very hard line to cross. Like, with Daredevil, I think it's much easier for them to reintroduce Daredevil, this fresh reboots, and like there's obviously a lot more people who have seen Daredevil than there are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think it's a much easier game. But with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's 7 seasons, like 140 some episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I think Daisy is a much more complicated character to bring in, outside of just Daredevil. Like, I think Daredevil and like Punisher are much easier to kind of fit in somewhere.
But that's absolutely like true as well, is that people know Jon Bernthal and Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah.
Even people who haven't watched the shows like know that they are the characters that are in this little part of Marvel or whatever. A lot of people like who know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they still think Coulson is the face of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
They don't know that like Daisy's pretty much the main character after the first season. So that's the thing is, like, Daisy, like, as much as we love Chloe as Daisy, she's not nearly as big of a face for the show or just for Marvel in general as like bringing Daredevil or Punisher back. The people who haven't seen Daredevil or Punisher's shows are excited about their versions of the characters being back. I can't see people who don't know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being excited if they hear, oh, Chloe Bennett's playing Daisy Johnson in this project,
Yeah, no, I think if we brought her back, she would have to at least start out as like agent number 2, right? As this like, like Fury's right hand woman, right? Like, and honestly, now that Maria's, spoilers, dead, that could actually be kind of cool, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
she
absolutely.
takes up the spot of Maria up in like Maria wasn't in Sword, was she? She was.
I think she was hanging up there for a bit because wasn't one of the Skrulls pretending to be Maria in Far From Home?
Yeah.
So I feel like they would have only done that if Maria wasn't on Earth.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Could have been up there. I don't like. They never outright said she was with Sword, though. I don't think.
Interesting. Or I guess Saber now, right? Like
yeah, they changed that.
Saber. Which I guess kind of leads into an interesting thing, because I've heard a lot of people talk about where's the next possible place Daisy Johnson could appear. I've said for a bit I'd be really cool if it was Daredevil, because there's that big theory that they grow up in like the same home,
the same
right?
orphanage, St. Agnes.
And I think that could be a fun like dynamic of like those two characters are so drastically different, but I think they could have a fun back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's there. I know a lot of people have said the Marvels that comes out this November, like, movie takes place in space. They're at Saber. Maybe she could appear if Daisy is a part of Saber, right?
Yeah,
that's definitely an option. Do you think we'll ever see any of these characters again, or do you think there's a place they could pop in?
I think we're past them showing up in anything, unfortunately. I really wish I was wrong, and I really hope I'm wrong. Like, I genuinely hope that I'm proved wrong and one of them shows up somewhere. But I think we're past the point where any of them are going to show up in anything. I think the most we can hope for is like Clark Gregg voicing Coulson in What If Season 2 in another random episode.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're done with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters ever coming back in anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I definitely thought, like I said for months, if Shield characters are appearing anywhere, it's here. It's Secret Invasion. That makes the most sense to me. And they weren't. And again, that's not a bad thing because again, I don't know if they would have fit, but I don't know. Like I still like there's still a thing in me where it's like, well, they're somewhere else, you know. There, and I think there's always the chance. I think Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel, I think they do listen to the fans. Like it's been very clear with like No Way Home and Deadpool 3 and a lot of these things. And of course those fan bases are much bigger. Like they're much more vocal. But I do think that they were probably watching social media and what people were saying and what were people saying on social media every week. Where is Daisy?
Yeah, it was always in the comments for Secret Invasion.
Always. Every episode. And that's the main like I feel like I saw more of that than people actually talking about Secret Invasion. Because the show didn't, it didn't do bad, but like by Marvel standards, it wasn't doing well. People weren't really talking about it.
Absolutely.
So maybe they see that they're like, okay, let's throw her a bone. Let's put her somewhere, like anywhere, whatever. Again, I would still love a Saber show. Like I think if you set that up after the Marvels, I think it'd be cool. Like have like Monica as your lead, maybe, and then you could have Daisy in like the not the background, but like maybe a co-lead or somewhere in that cast or something. I think would be cool.
I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the very least, it did end every character where you can rational why they're not in the movies. Like Fitzsimmons, they retired, they're raising their kid. Like Yo-Yo Deke, Yo-Yo Davis and Piper are off doing like little secret missions that, you know, they're off in different countries. You don't have to see them because they're kind of lower down. Coulson, he's just teaching at the academy now. You've got May kind of there as well. May's teaching at the academy. Coulson's just kind of hanging out doing his own thing. Then Daisy, she's off in space with Sousa and Cora. Like, I think the only character that's kind of annoyingly in a place where you can't say why they're not around is Mac, since they pretty much made him the director of the new version of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's kind of hard to say why he's not around the whole time. But the rest of them, I think it completely makes sense why they're not involved in what's happening in the current MCU. But I think just Mac's kind of a problem where you're like, oh yeah, he should absolutely be hanging around with that big helicarrier.
Oh, 100%. Like in that, like honestly, like I thought he would have made the most sense in episode 6, where like if he shows up to Nick and be like, what did I just miss? Like what happened here?
What is going on?
And you could have done that in a way where you don't have to explain it. Like just say he's the current like S.H.I.E.L.D. director, and that's it. Like
bring him in as a new a new just government guy.
Yeah, 100%. Like you don't need to know anything. It's a nice little bone for everything. So this just dropped. We will get back to S.H.I.E.L.D. In a second. Let's talk about this. I honestly, I kind of thought that this was already
people have been saying it for a while. I kind of just expected.
Yeah, I mean, so Snyder Sweetie is confirmed to be playing Julia Carpenter / Spider-Woman in Madam Web. Now, I'd be lying if I said I'm an expert on this character at all. I'm not a massive like spider people expert. Do we have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I've been really excited for this film for a while.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be the one Sony Marvel film that is actually good. Like the Kraven trailer looked good, but I'm not convinced it's going to be good. But I think like Madam Web, I think that the cast is there and the ideas are there for this to be a really cool film. Like we've been hearing for a while that that like potentially what's Severance guy's name? It's in this.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
The Parks and Rec guy, but him, there's like been rumors for a while that he's playing. I think on like officially it says he's playing like Ben Parker, but or Ben Riley or something like that. But I think that there's like theories that he's like a time displaced version of Peter Parker, and I think that'd be really cool. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, just from things that we've heard about it, like it's like a Spider-Man time travel heist movie, and that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
sick. And it seems like the first movie to do something like Peter Parker is a aspect of the film in some way.
Yeah.
And that's very hype, I think. I don't. Again, I don't know what Sony's doing. Like, I'm very concerned next year because there's 3 of these Sony movies coming out, and
Yeah. I
that's
feel like some's gonna get pushed. I think
Yeah,
Madam Web's the one will get pushed.
do you think? Because like that one
Yeah.
comes out first.
Yeah. I mean, I think Craven is gonna come out because they've already got a trailer and everything.
Yeah.
I think Venom 3, they seem to make those pretty quick.
Mhm.
I think Madam Web is the one that's probably gonna get pushed.
Interesting.
Maybe it won't. I hope it doesn't.
I think that's the one I want to see the most.
It is, yeah,
out of the
same.
3. Like Venom 3 might be fun because like we've heard like maybe the like TVAs in that movie and it might connect to Spider-Man stuff. But like
Yeah.
I think the movie side of things I'm less excited for. Like I'm excited for Madam Web. I'm excited for Silk, and I'm excited for Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
And then depending on what they do with some of the like we've heard rumors of a Spider-Gwen movie and a live-action Miles movie as well, and those could be cool. Like it does feel like they're trying to get their stuff together a little bit, but
Yeah.
Madam Web does feel like the most I don't know, like cinema, I guess. Like it could be like a really good movie.
It'll be peak content.
What up?
Hey Everest, what's up?
We got the whole squad up in here. You love
to
to see
it. Luke's there as well.
You love to see it.
Got everybody in here.
Alrighty. Moving away. I do want to talk about Secret Invasion for a couple minutes, and I think we'll obviously talk about it when we get to our ranking. So we felt for the majority of the show, we felt very drastically different.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because I feel like normally we agree on a lot of shows. Like, I feel like we're often in the same mindset. But I loved these first 4. And I was like, this is so good. I know Connor's loving it. And I talked to you, you're like, no, actually, this is kind of shit. I don't really like this stuff. No!
It was a show. It was one of the shows of all time. No, Secret Invasion, it was like you know how I was after those trailers dropped. I was like, this looks so cool. This is going to be one of the coolest Marvel projects post-Endgame, all this sort of stuff. Then when it came out, I just was not vibing with it. I was like, I mean, some of the dialogue was really good. Some of the stuff they did with like Talos and Nick were pretty cool. But for the majority of it, I wasn't feeling it.
No, I mean, I think most people would agree with you.
Yeah?
Again, a lot of people didn't watch it. A lot of people weren't enjoying it.
That is true.
But no, I mean, I was here each week being like, y'all, this show is great. I love the show. And then episode 5 came out, and episode 5 was weird because I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
But I was like, we have like 1 episode left, and we have like a whole season of stuff to do. Like we have so much stuff to do. I was very concerned after episode 5. And episode 6 might be the most I've seen a show drop the ball. I really thought they had put together a solid season, and the episode came out, and not only the stuff in the episode, but I watched the episode and I realized how much they didn't do, and how much it really felt like they half baked a cake. Like once you see the whole thing all together, like you have the main ingredients there, but like you forgot the eggs and you forgot the batter, and it's just kind of an icky looking thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which made me very sad because again, I love those first 4. I was having such a good time with it, but I was able to be like, yeah, Connor was right.
No, I mean, I felt kind of like that for the whole show, where I was like, it feels like they're not doing enough in certain areas. Like they've got the look down, like it looks how I want it to look, but it doesn't feel how I want it to feel. To me, it just felt like they were never doing enough with the Skrull plot line. They never made it feel like you didn't know who was a Skrull and who wasn't. Anytime a new character would show up, you could almost say for sure they were a Skrull because you'd never seen them before. And then Rhodey, everybody kind of was like, oh, Rhodey's a Skrull anyway. From the big, he was the one most theorized from when the trailer started dropping.
Yeah.
Even Martin Freeman's character Ross, everybody was also saying like, oh, he's probably a Skrull, and they were right. Like it felt like there was no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They did like nothing with him, and I think
he's there in the beginning. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many characters here that I was like, okay, we have a cool set of a cool cast, and like his scroll is like revealed during the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maria dies episode 1, which I was not a fan.
That was a bit
like
annoying.
Like I saw what they were doing, right? Because they're trying to set the stage for Maria. Like they want they want to say, hey, anyone can die here. And but I don't know, something about it just felt so, I don't know if it's just because I love Maria Hill and I felt like this was finally her chance to shine after being every movie, every project outside of maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. like sidelined the character. She was finally a co-lead of a thing.
Yeah.
And then she dies
instantly. And they made it feel like she'd be a big part of the show. Like she was promoted like on par with Sam Jackson as Nick Fury almost. You know, like they really did push her forward as being a huge part of this. So it reminded me of like Sif in Thor: Love and Thunder, where they were promoting her like she was a big part of the film, and then she was in that one scene and that was it. It's like it feels like Marvel does this sometimes with characters where they make you think they're a big deal, and it was the same with Martin Freeman in the show as well, where they're just you want to see more of these characters because they're not utilized enough in other projects, and then they're put as main parts of a show when you get really excited for like you're gonna have 6 40-minute episodes, sometimes 50-minute episodes that really focus on these characters, and they end up being just shelved immediately. It's really disappointing. And I think as well, like you needed more big MCU players in this show. Normally I would say no. Normally I kind of like when the shows stick and do their own thing and don't depend on cameos or references. But I think in this case it was needed because you needed to make it feel like anybody could be a Skrull, and that any of these big Marvel characters could be Skrulls or for however long might not have been who you thought they were. But instead it was just Rhodey, Ross, and Hill was dead anyway, so it didn't matter. And then that kind of just left you with Nick being the only real MCU character who had already been established, and Talos, I guess, well, who also died. So it was like they weren't they weren't sticking to. Wait, Talos did stay dead, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay.
I guess I had Gaia
bring it
too,
back.
but
yeah.
No, I mean, I think you're right. Like, I think the idea would have been like I had said, even like when it first announced, I would have loved to have the show and then it leads into a movie. And looking at Phase 4, and I'm like, what's a lot of people's issues with Phase 4? There wasn't a connective tissue. There wasn't something to connect. There wasn't a large storyline for people to grasp onto. And I think that should have been Secret Invasion. I think Secret Invasion should have been like a mini boss leading up to Kang. And I think because what I really loved about this early episode of Secret Invasion is it did feel like a sequel to Endgame. Like this felt almost like the first real sequel to Endgame was the consequences of the snap and Nick feeling vulnerable and out of place since the snap. And while he was gone, what transpired. And I think that's a really good like follow-up to Phase 3 with like the snap and everything. I think that's really cool. And I think if you organize it a little better, you can have a really cool like segue into the season. Like I think if you tie in Falcon and the Winter Soldier a little bit better, like because these two shows have a very similar tone and vibe.
They do, yeah, for sure.
That setup, and then you end Phase 4 with Secret Invasion, and there you can have like again, maybe you don't have it be an Avengers movie, but like bring in Captain America, bring in like Kate Bishop, bring in Hawkeye, bring in Yelena, and like again, I feel like there's been a lot of like setup, but where's all the setup leading to?
Because absolutely,
and
I think like you're dead right with that, because it feels like a lot of these TV shows are isolated from each other. Feels like nothing is affecting anything else just yet. It's like Secret Invasion, it should have connected to, or Secret Invasion was so big that it should have been like affecting other parts of the MCU. And obviously, it only finished last month. It's hard to tell what the effects are just yet. But I think that in terms of the characters, there should have been more characters from other things in here, because you need to see the effects of that. And what you're suggesting about it, of Secret Invasion being more of a stepping stone to something else, would have worked really well.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I was very disappointed with Secret Invasion. And I think that's the worst thing that can happen in a show, where like you start off good, but then you end poorly. I think that's the worst thing you can do.
There's other Marvel shows on here where we talk about that I feel like really strongly. It's the only Disney Plus show that I feel really strongly started really strong and then just disappointed me by the end.
Interesting. So. I'm very excited to dive into these rankings. let me look at chat real quick. Promo Central still here. What's great is
Hey,
good
Luke.
to have you here. Organized, I'm driving, but I got the dudes on AUX. Well, glad to hear it.
Evers, don't crash.
Yeah, I mean,
Please,
be
for the love of
safe.
God.
Be
Yeah,
safe.
be safe.
The Stranger, I feel like Kevin Feige should take a note out of James Gunn's playbook and call out rumors. That's, you know what, I think that's actually a pretty interesting talking point, right? Because half of Secret Invasion was, will Daisy show up? Will she be here? But I feel like they don't want to do that because that's half the people watching. It's like half the people watching were Secret Invasion fans, where it's like, will they show up here? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, they talked about She-Hulk and how every episode was like, where's Daredevil? Where's Kingpin?
Yeah.
Or like Hawkeye was like, where's Kingpin, right?
Yeah. Completely right. I didn't even think about that yet. Like, they really should have start doing what James Gunn does. Like, that's a really good point.
Yeah. But again, I guess the only issue with what James Gunn does, and I think he's recently found out, it's like, oh wait, what if the rumors are true?
Yeah,
like
that is true as well. Easy to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, early live. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alrighty, let's move into our big shebang. The whole reason we came here today. Today we are ranking the Disney Plus Marvel shows. We have 9 official 9 shows.
9? I thought we were including like Cloak and Dagger and Runaways and all of them. No, I have to change my whole ranking now.
Yeah, I don't know if we have time to rank 29 or something.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Which would be fun at some point. I would be very interested how, like,
we should do that. Yeah,
I think that'd be very interesting, and I think that would show how much better some of the other shows were, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways versus like Loki and WandaVision. I think would be very interesting. Maybe someday once I finish all those shows.
No, it definitely do, because I did that on my channel a year ago, and it was really fun, and I'd love to like go through them again myself, and then like rank them with you. That'd be really fun.
I'd be very down. It would give me an excuse to watch it. Although like Runaways is like hard to find now because it's like it's not on.
Oh yeah, it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah, you'd have to go on the like deep seas and
yeah, you've got to find it somewhere.
your best Johnny Depp impression, I guess.
Yeah. Get
already.
your VHS player out.
So how we do our rankings over here at the Pipeline. Normally people would just like go down the list and be like number 10 and number 10, you know. But here, since to not go over each thing twice, I have a bucket here of all 9 projects. I will pull one out and we will talk about both projects at the same time, not over each other, obviously, but like, you know, around the same time, where relatively we would rank them, and we'll talk about them together. Should be fun. Alrighty. Check it out. First up here, I have WandaVision. A good place to start because that was our first one, right? The first first MCU show, first thing of Phase 4, which kind of looks, it's crazy thinking back that we've had like 20 projects since then or something crazy like that. What are your opinions on WandaVision?
I was pretty lukewarm on it after first come out. I didn't hate it, but I was never as into it as a lot of people were. I think that like the way it approached the whole making every episode like sorry, a like an homage to sitcoms from the decades was really interesting. I think visually it's one of the coolest Marvel projects ever. When I rewatched it there, pretty much yesterday was when I rewatched the show. Yeah, so it's pretty fresh in my head. But I remember when I first saw it, I was more into the non-Westview stuff than I was like I was more into when they were investigating, like when you had like Jimmy Woo and all of them sort of investigating it, than I was into the Westview stuff itself. But on rewatch, I was the complete opposite. I was like, I'm loving the Westview sitcom stuff this time. I'm hating when we're going back out of the kind of the area and like investigating and seeing all the sword stuff. So I liked it a bit more on rewatch. Should I say where it is on my ranking?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me double check. It is number 5 for me. 5 out of 9.
About
I
halfway.
think originally it would have been. I think when I did my ranking last year, it was last. So, but
Oh,
that was before
interesting.
She-Hulk, before Secret Invasion, and before Miss Marvel, I think.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think WandaVision, and I think this does go a big part into why it's so high on my list, is I think it's probably the most fun I've had watching one of these shows.
That's fair.
And I think I think a big reason for that is, for one, it was the first one. Like, we had just gone through over a year and a half of no Marvel, no TV, not much of anything to really talk about, and this came out and it was the first of its kind, and everybody was watching it. And I think that's the only time
It was an event.
Oh no, I love TV events. I really do. Like, that's one reason I love Stranger Things so much, because like everyone in the world is watching it with you almost, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I do think they have that mystery aspect that I think a lot of these shows are missing. There is that part of it where, like, I'm glad it wasn't a binge show, because I love coming back each and every week and theorizing about what's happening next, what's going to happen. But I do think it was the first strike, I kind of guess, against like us. I don't want to say that we're too smart, but I think the Marvel fan base is too powerful at times.
Yeah.
We're like like what we thought of was 10 times better than what the show gave us.
Yeah.
And I don't fully blame the writers for that, right? They filmed it in COVID. There's a lot of things like that. But like there are moments where things happen, and I was like, oh, that's it? Like, that's what you do? Like, I like Agatha now. I thought she was actually a really solid villain. But when it was, like, revealed, it's like, oh, everyone just said that episode after episode 1. It's kind of lame, right? And then I do think the end, like, the last episode, I don't think it's horrible or anything, but I definitely do. Like, there is a massive shift from episodes 1 through, 6? And then to episode 7, right? I think
that's kind of when they dropped the sitcom every episode thing. I think episode 6 was the Halloween one, so it was like the Malcolm in the Middle style episode. I think that was, and then afterwards they did an Office version where it was like, the fake mockumentary kind of thing. But yeah, after that there was definitely noticeable change in going from the really cool stylistic vibe to just being normal MCU stuff.
100%. And I will say, I think it's one of the most like artsy MCU shows.
Yeah,
I guess
for sure.
Miss Marvel, like I like Miss Marvel does a lot of stuff I love, but that felt like there felt like there was a creative vision that they were going for, and that felt so refreshing. Again, especially going into Phase 4, where like we were like, things are different now. Like, we're doing different things. And I still think they tried. Like, I think they definitely tried to mix things up in Phase 4 and 5, but I do think they ultimately dropped the ball. I put mine at number 3.
Okay, cool.
Just because, again, I just have that experience with it. It's the most fun I've had watching it. I love the human characters, like getting to see Darcy back, and like Jimmy Woo, and like Monica's a lot of fun for most of the show. Again, the mystery week to week's a lot of fun. I think the actors here are really cool. Like, this is the most I've ever loved Vision. Like, Vision is so much fun in this show.
He was great. Paul Bettany did a great job at it.
Absolutely. Like, there's that whole scene where, like, I think it's episode 4 where, like, Scarlet, like, he's slowly starting to unwire the programming. And he's like, you can't control all these people, Wanda. This is bad. You're evil. Like, there's that scene and they're, like, flying in the air. And I think that's, like, top 10 moments of Phase 4 for me. Like, I think it's really good. But yeah, for me, it's number 3. You said yours was number 5.
Not
too far off.
No, they're actually pretty close there. But no, I completely agree on all of that, and I think that the Vision stuff is so good. But I think it made Wanda feel scary. Like the way she was controlling, and after Vision was freaking out, the way the credits would start rolling and the music would start playing because Wanda was manipulating it and making the show end, and then Vision's like, stop doing that. Like, it's so good. It's that all those moments between. I wish the show had more of that, because some of that was not just some of the best stuff Marvel's done since Endgame. Some of that was some of the coolest stuff Marvel had ever done, where Wanda's just manipulating it and making the show end, and kind of making it so surreal and feel a little bit creepy. It was really well done. My biggest problem with the show is just that, after a certain point, it feels like they leave all of that behind and they just start becoming more MCU. Like, I don't hate the final either, but I think it definitely becomes your very standard MCU third act sort of thing that, you could... it's fine, but by WandaVision, you've already seen that done in 20-something Marvel films. You kind of were hoping that WandaVision would stick the landing in sticking to what it's set up in its first 6-7 episodes and really doing something different and unique. It's interesting that the WandaVision, which is one of the most unique Marvel projects to ever get made, ends up having one of the most generic Marvel endings, in contrast to like Loki, which had a really cool ending that felt different to what Marvel normally does. I didn't love the bringing Evan Peters back just to make him a joke.
Oh no,
that was
like,
annoying.
That was so hype. Like when that episode came out,
insane.
Man, like everyone was so excited, and then the Ralph Boner thing is like,
and it's they knew what they were doing.
Oh,
like
100%.
At that point, they'd already said for a year that the next MCU phase was going to be multiverse. So the first Phase 4 project has Evan Peters playing Pietro
from the first mutant in the MCU.
Yeah, literally. You're like, oh my god, they're actually doing it. They're not wasting any time. They're getting it done straight away, and it's just Ralph Boner. And now we're like, that was early 2021. So we're almost 3 years later now, and we still have not properly done mutants or properly done the multiverse. Like, we did it a little bit in Doctor Strange, a little bit in What If, but we haven't gotten properly into the multiverse stuff or properly into the X-Men stuff and mutant stuff yet. And it felt like WandaVision was saying, oh, we're doing this straight away, and then none of it really happened. But hey, this show was pretty cool. A lot of it was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I think the Evan Peters stuff is really interesting, especially like there's currently rumors that he's in the like Agatha spinoff show, right? That he plays some role. And it's just like, is he playing Ralph Boner, or is he actually playing the real Evan Peters?
You could have it that Ralph, I guess, is kind of a variant of Peter, but then it's weird because then it's like, why did the TVA not take away the? Oh, I guess Deadpool is going to address why the TVA haven't already gone after the X-Men. So
yeah, I mean, you know, I could see it because again, I think Secret Wars is going to be your. I don't think it'll be as big of a cameo fest as people think, but I do think you're going to bring together all the cameo type characters we've been introducing.
You've got it, right?
Yeah, like Logan and Deadpool and Spider-Man's and, you know, any other of the X-Men we see in like Deadpool 3. I think that's what Secret Invasion or Secret Wars will be.
Yeah.
And I do want to address the comment. I do think it's one of the most unique, just superhero shows in general. Like there isn't quite a show like this. Like I think outside of these modern kind of superhero shows, I think both Peacemaker and WandaVision were like, hey, we're something really different than all the others, and I have to appreciate that.
I think there was real passion put into it as well. And like you could tell, like when they were making those sitcom based episodes, like they did their research. They 100%. Cared about making it accurate to what sitcoms of those decades were. Like the Malcolm in the Middle episode, it was the title credits, they were just Malcolm in the Middle, but with WandaVision characters in there, and it's like, it's so cool. It was such an interesting thing to do. And like no other comic book show has done that. I really did love that about it. And it also, like, just going back to the mystery element of like the waiting week to week, like it was episode, like I know we jumped back for episode 4 being the one where we came out of Westview and we just focused on outside of Westview. But I feel like they went for 5-6 weeks of not really giving you any answers yet and just letting the questions pile up. And that's really good. Like it's treating your audience like people who are going to follow you on this mystery, on this journey for 6-7 weeks. Like you're not dropping all the answers, or you're not doing something generic and giving them all the answers straight away. You're trusting your audience to actually care and get invested in it. And that's something that I feel like Marvel needs to do more of, is just trust their audience to get invested in something rather than, you know, just doing whatever.
I agree. Alrighty, up next. Next up, I have She-Hulk.
Okay, cool.
I think we feel pretty drastically different about this one as well.
I think we might do, yeah.
At least while it was airing, I think I remember us feeling pretty different. How do you feel about She-Hulk?
How do I feel about She-Hulk? So I didn't get to rewatch this one, so I haven't seen any of the She-Hulk episodes since they aired last year. But I kind of have a decent enough memory, I feel like, on the show and how everything went. I have it at number 8. So I did have it at number 9, and then I thought about it more. Now I was like, no, I'll put it at 8. I didn't hate any of it. I don't. Well, I just kind of felt pretty about most of it. I kind of just was like, yeah, every week. Like, okay, I watched that. I'm gonna turn that off now because I finished it. Like, I don't want to go back and rewatch it. I don't feel the need to go back and rewatch it. It was something I watched and didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. Like the Daredevil episode was fun, but even the Daredevil episode, for some reason, I didn't get into as much as I hoped I would. So I don't know. Some of the stuff was cool. I think like Tim Roth back as Abomination was fun. I think the what's the actress who plays She-Hulk? Tatiana.
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, Tatiana. Yeah, I thought she was really good as the character.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I think like in general the characters were really interesting. I completely liked that it was basically just a normal TV show where it felt very episodic. It felt like it built up a little bit to something, but in general, it was mostly just case of the week, and that's something that I think Marvel needs to embrace more of. But in general, yeah, I think I didn't get into it as much as I hoped. It wasn't really for me for the most part. Like I know as a comedy, I didn't really find too much of it funny, but it was fine. I mean, I got annoyed about the Sopranos joke where they spent a whole episode with Wong getting spoiled on big things from Sopranos. And I was like, why'd you do that? And then I got yelled at by everybody because people were like, well, you should have watched Sopranos if you didn't want to get spoiled. And it's like, I'm sorry that there are 100 million TV shows and I don't have time to watch every single one right now.
It's like the whole Lost thing, where it's like every show for the last 10 years have been spoiling Lost.
Yeah. Arrow did in the first episode.
I
thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I like She-Hulk. I think it was a fun show. I think I don't think it's perfect. I think the show definitely had some issues. I think I have more issues on what the show doesn't do compared to what the show does do. Like, I think everything in there is good. I think it's good. But I think what I want, for one, I think it could have used a couple more episodes to flesh everything out. I think it could have used like just 9 episodes. I almost feel like isn't enough for the template of the show. This year, like episodic lawyer show, it's not enough. You could have done 13 or
like
15.
18 episodes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think a big part, like the show is called She-Hulk Attorney at Large, at Law. I'm sorry, but there's not very much like lawyer things at all, right? Like there's not much.
Yeah.
There's not much there, like outside of the Daredevil episode, and that's just there to show that Matt's a lawyer, and that's the best lawyer show in the whole show, and it's great. And I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of like the whole point of the show is like she takes care of the superpower people that need a lawyer, and I wanted to see more of that, like seeing the difference. Like I think there was that one it was episode 5 or 6 where like the guy kept killing himself and coming back. Like that's a really fun.
That was pretty good. I actually find that very funny.
And I wanted more of that. And we've heard it's probably not getting a season 2, and I kind of disliked it because I think there's a lot of opportunities that could go there. Like I want to see each episode. Maybe there's a new, maybe not characters we know, but like maybe like I had said, while we were talking about Secret Invasion, like how funny would it be if like a Skrull needs her help for like lawyer things, like there's no law about not killing Skrulls. Can you help me? Or like something crazy like that. Like maybe there's like a like Asgardian where like we don't have rights on Earth. What do you do? Like, can you help me with that? And play with that stuff a little bit. Maybe like we have like I know they said they wanted to get Spider-Man for like an episode, but like maybe get like
hearing about that. Yeah.
Like get Paul Rudd for an episode, and maybe he has like some lawyer trouble, or Casey even like Casey was in like law trouble, right? Maybe have her come in and she got arrested again or something silly. Like I don't know, play with that a little bit. The ending. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you good.
No, I mean I like the ending with Kevin a lot. I think that's a lot of fun. But I do think it comes a little messy when you look back on it and you have to be like, so what really happened, right? I do think there is a bit of like, did any of the things we just watched over the last 9 episodes even matter if you're going to be like, well, it's over now, goodbye, you know what I mean? And I do think there was a bit of that for me, even though I did enjoy what they did with Kevin and Matt at the end, and Hulk with like Hulk, Scar, right? Scar, whatever.
That was a bit weird. I was like, the Scar thing for me was a little weird.
It was very
like,
random.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to drop in, considering that we're probably not going to see this character again for 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, I completely agree with all that. And I think that She-Hulk is a show that would really benefit from being a year-round kind of multi-season show, because I think like before the streaming era, before the streaming era, so many shows didn't have a good first season. They'd have like 20 plus episodes of not a great season, but then in season 2 they'd improve upon themselves. Season 3 they'd improve even more, and that would go on and on and on. I think She-Hulk is a show that would have really benefited from that. It's not a terrible first season for me, not by any stretch, but it's a season that's just fine, and that the foundation is there to really build on that and make that a really good second season and a really good third season. And I would have really liked to have seen that more and seen the characters evolve from that. I think like these Disney Plus shows, they feel like they sometimes just come and go. And I think She-Hulk was really one of that, where it was talked about a little bit for the 2 months it was airing, and then that was kind of it. But I think you're the one who mentioned on Twitter before that you would love an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. style show right now, because it would tie into like an MCU. Every time a new MCU movie would come out, you could tie it in or have a little event there. I think She-Hulk would really benefit from that. Where if you have it be a year-long show, you have, I don't know, something crazy happen with one of the heroes in their movie. Like in Ant-Man, you've got, say, I don't know, Scott accidentally crashes car at the beginning of the movie or something like that. Then you bring in Paul Rudd onto an episode of She-Hulk that comes out 2 weeks later, and you have him in court for that or something like that, and you tied in little things. I think would really improve the show and make it better. Hey, Braden.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's a couple of these shows where I was like, I wish they were more. I'm not saying yearly, because a lot of shows just don't come out yearly. Like even your Game of Thrones and stuff, it's not yearly. But I think, I guess we'll talk about it more when we get to Secret Invasion, I guess. But I think there's a serious show issue currently. There is such a they're not making shows. They're making these movies that fit into the 9-episode formula, 6-episode formula, whatever. And I think they need to stop, readjust on what they're doing, and make some classic shows. And I think the collection of shows they have right now, they can do that with. Like, I think Loki's actually doing just fine currently.
Loki's
6-episode events with them. That works fine.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel, we'll talk about it a bit. I think that could be 13, 15 episodes, and that's perfect.
Yep.
Like your vigilante superhero show, that's great. She-Hulk, 15 episodes a season, that works fine. And then, if I'm selfish, I'd be like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just throw it in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then I think you're on track, but keep those kind of rotations of shows. Don't do 9, 10 shows coming out. Focus on like 5. Right? Yep. And those are your rotation of shows. And then it's like, oh, guess what? The new season of Miss Marvel drops this week. And aren't you hyped? And I don't feel like we get that. We haven't had that, like Loki, I'm really excited for, because everyone's saying, oh, yeah, this show's back. But that's been the first time. And I think you need that. I think you need season 4 of Miss Marvel's coming out this week. Yep. It's not hype. So I think that's what I want from these shows. And I think She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and Loki could really benefit.
I completely agree. Like, most shows, like most television shows in general, don't have a very good first season. Like sometimes ones do have an absolutely amazing first season, blows everything else out of the water. But for a lot of the time, like the show needs a few seasons to find its footing. I think the Marvel Disney Plus shows aren't getting that chance.
No.
Like you're not getting a chance to connect with these characters. You're getting a supporting cast thrown at you straight away. Like take Miss Marvel, for example. So many characters in that show we'd never met before. So it's kind of hard to connect to any of them when we've just got the 6 episodes to learn them and know them.
And then there's like a 3-year break. Like let's say they do a second season. That's probably not until like 2025 or 2026 or something, right? And I wish, and again, I get it's hard. Like when you have a shared universe, you have to have things come out at a certain time.
Yeah.
That was the issue with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Is they couldn't keep up with what Marvel was putting out each year. They couldn't work around what the main timeline was doing, so they separated themselves. That's what I would assume was the main issue, right?
I think for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what happened was that because Josh Whedon's brother was the main writer on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so Josh was giving Jed Whedon like little insider information on what was happening in the MCU, which is why they were able to connect so well. And then once Josh left the MCU after Avengers 2, they started getting less and less information from the higher ups on what was actually happening in the upcoming movies. So they tried their best to connect things in by like doing the 1-year jump forward for Infinity War because they assumed they'd have it fixed like within a year of the MCU timeline,
Yeah.
and they didn't do that.
I
And then they were like, all right, well, now we're separating ourselves because fuck you, I guess. Like, that was kind of like, it's annoying, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I completely agree all that about that shows. Like, you can do more with them. You're not giving them a chance to grow. And the annoying thing is that I was thinking about this, like the first 4 live action MCU shows were WandaVision, which is this super cool, surreal, artsy show that feels more like it's an homage to just sitcoms of the decades than a comic book show. You've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is a great companion piece to the Captain America trilogy, which feels quite MCU but has a really cool tone and everything like that. You've got Loki, which is this time travel show that feels similar to like Doctor Who or Legends of Tomorrow than anything really that Marvel's done yet. And then you've got Hawkeye, which is this really kind of wholesome in a way, Christmassy special. Like, they're so different. And imagine if those 4 shows had that. WandaVision is the one where you can kind of not really go any further with it after you do it once.
You have to do spin-off, like, right?
Yeah. But like, think of those 4 shows all existing at different
would-
points in the year, every year. It's a crazy, cool, unique lineup of 4 shows that you could easily expand and do more with every year, and then connect them if you ever want to. Don't if you don't want to. But you've got a lineup there that is easily sustainable for like 4 or 5 years worth of seasons. You know, there's no need to constantly be doing a brand new show every couple months because you're not giving audiences a chance to really get into the show, which I think is why Loki's going to end up being the most popular Marvel show of the Disney Plus era. I know a lot of people had problems with season 1, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be the show people care about the most when they think back on the Marvel Disney Plus stuff, because it's the one show that actually gave the audience a chance to grow with it and to stay with it.
Yeah, I think I saw on Twitter the other day where like the Loki season 2 trailer is the most viewed trailer out of all of the like Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
And I think that shows like what you need to do. You know what I mean? I think you need to get first of all, I think you need to get people over at Marvel who knows how to write and direct shows, because they don't they know how to make movies. They don't know how to make shows, and that's what they're doing right now, I think. And again, sometimes it works. Like again, Loki works in that 6 episode batch, I think. At least the first season did for me. Already, I didn't even mention where I put She-Hulk. I put it at number 6 for me.
Okay, cool.
So kind of
not too far off than there either. Just 2 in the difference. Yeah.
Alrighty, next up we have a great transition, Loki. Loki, in my opinion, one of the. I mean, I could just say it's my number 1. I really like Loki. I think it just works on a fundamental level, and it's so insane because out of all the shows that were announced, that was the one where it's like, I don't know about that. Like, obviously, I love Loki as a character, but by that point, we had killed him off. We weren't sure what was going to happen in Endgame and what we were doing with him. And then that trailer came out, and I was like, okay, it looks promising, looks fair enough. But I ended up loving it. Like, I think it just, everything about it kind of works for me. It's been a while since I've watched it. It's been a couple years. I might have to rewatch it.
It holds up.
Yeah.
We watched it this morning.
I mean, you just watched it yesterday, right?
So I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision yesterday, and then Loki and What If today.
Okay.
I started Loki last night, but I did like 5.5 of the episodes today. But it holds up.
Good.
Braden saying it's the only one he really liked. That's valid. That's fair. Loki was my favorite one for so long. It's actually number 2 now after my rewatch, but I still really liked it. I think it's right up my alley. Like, I love sci-fi stuff so much. You're so crazy, bro. Thanks, Braden. But it's a really good show. It's a really well-crafted show. It's got care into it. It's got passion put into it. It feels like it connects to the other stuff really well, and it feels like it's the one Marvel Disney Plus show so far that's properly had ramifications for the movies already, like with the effects of like Kang being an Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania because of what happened in Loki. He's free now, sort of thing. I think that it's just, they really did bank on the show focusing on Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, and they put so much of their eggs in that basket, and it paid off because they are amazing together. It's such a good dynamic, and it's something that you want to see grow over multiple seasons. So it's great that they're actually going to do that. Now, I hope season 2 isn't the last season. I hope they keep going. but I love it. I think that the time travel elements, the whole way they did like the apocalypse things, the Nexus events, all that sort of stuff was really cool. The music is so good. The little ticking kind of noise that they have in it is so good as well. I'm really excited for season 2. It's one of the best things that Marvel has put out like ever, in my opinion.
No, I think everything just kind of works about. I don't want to beat over the head what I had just preached on about like them not being real shows, but this it just feels like a real show, and I think that's so impressive. It's one of the ones with a shorter runtime. Like She-Hulk had 9, like I think WandaVision had 7, 8, like whatever. Like this had 6 episodes, and it still did, I think, everything it needed to do. It gave our characters arcs. We love most of the characters again, like Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson are. Like I think like Owen Wilson is one of my favorite like characters in the MCU currently. Like he's so good. I love him so much, and that
he's different. He doesn't feel like the way a Marvel character talks. I don't know how to say it, but like like the Marvel has their kind of humor, their style of humor. Yeah. I feel like the way Owen Wilson delivers his lines makes them not feel like Marvel. Like it makes it feel like it's not Marvel humor. It feels more like just awkward sort of humor, but in a really good way. I like it.
And I think season 2 is doing that again with I forget the actor's name, but the actor that was in Everything Everywhere All the time. Like his character feels very like we had him in that trailer. I'm like, I already love him. I love his character already. So much fun. Yeah, I'm very excited for season 2. Again, mine was at number 1 just because I think it works the best from start to finish. Valid. And I'm very excited, even though I already saw what your number 1 is. I'm very curious to see what your number 1 is.
Because I've like my set way of doing rankings now, where it's a little too much, but like so in serialized way you can give episodes like ratings. So I've been giving each individual episode like a rating, like 2, 3, 4, 5 stars out of whatever. But then how many episodes there are in the season, I add. So I give it like 5 points for half a star, 10 points for a full star, 15 points for a star and a half. Then all of that gets added up at the end, and then it's divided by whatever the amount of episodes are in the season into a percentage, and then it tells me exactly how I feel in a percentage of the show in comparison to other shows.
That's really interesting.
So Loki, I think, like I won't say what my number 1 is, but Loki, I think out of 100, the percentage is 83%, and then my one that is my number 1 is 84%. So they're right beside each other. Same with WandaVision, actually. There's one that's close to WandaVision that it's literally like 1% the difference.
That's a very interesting way to do it. That sounds kind of fun. Alrighty. Next up here, the main event itself, Secret Invasion. We felt very different about the show for most of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I took a peek at yours. Yours is dead last, right? It's your least favorite.
It was above She-Hulk, and then I thought that's when I sent on the second list because I was like, I think I like She-Hulk. I like some of She-Hulk. I can't think of like any individual episodes of Secret Invasion that I personally liked. Whereas like with She-Hulk, I can think of a few episodes here or there that I at least liked.
I can't believe how much it dropped. So by episode 4, it was in my top 2. I loved the show so much. By episode 5 or by episode 6, it's at my number 8. It dropped. It dropped so low, and I think that's just because it like all the others. I think they can at least be viewed as like a complete package. Like even though some of the endings aren't good, I could be like, okay, you wrapped up pretty nicely. They didn't wrap up anything. They left everything kind of wide open. I don't like looking at again. I like those first 4 more than a lot of these other episodes in any of the other shows.
Yeah,
but I think when you're looking at it as a complete package from start to finish, it's the weakest show. It's the weakest from beginning to end. And it's not my least favorite because there's one I would watch episodes from Secret Invasion over what my number 9 is.
Okay.
But it just doesn't, like, the ending just doesn't work for me. There's so much, like I talked about it yesterday a little bit. Like the whole show is about Nick Fury having to come and face his mistakes. That's the whole, and I think that's good for the majority of it. But he doesn't face anything he did. Like he created this war. He destroyed, like he promised these people a home, and that this is him trying to face those facts, but he never does. He never apologizes for what he did. He really never faces Gravik face to face. There's that, in my opinion, that really good scene in episode 6 where it's him and Gravik. Like Gravik is yelling at him, and there's a really good line with him where it's like, it's easier to save the world than like have it change, basically. And I thought that was a really cool line. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then it's revealed it's not even him. Like his arc is completed by Gaia and not him. He never faces any of it. And we end the show with him just being like, oh, see you guys. I gotta be in the next movie in like 3 months. See ya. And that's so frustrating. And I don't know, like the way they ended the show, like I don't know how I feel about how they ended the show, because it feels more of a mid-season finale than it does a season finale. Like nothing's wrapped up. Nothing feels satisfied. If anything, it kind of feels like we're worse off now than we were when it started, outside of the like potential war, right? But I don't know. I was just so disappointed with how we wrapped everything up, and how much better I wish it was.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with all that. I think, like, for me personally, I don't think the show should have been called Secret Invasion. I think it should have been called like Nick Fury or something like that, because it definitely doesn't feel like anything got wrapped up in any meaningful way. It doesn't feel like this was the comic. Like, I know Marvel with the MCU has never really been in line with the comics. Like, they change things, huge things all the time. But Secret Invasion is the first storyline I can think of the comics that I've read where I can go, well, that doesn't really have anything in common with what the comic is, other than the fact that Skrulls are pretending to be people. And it's I don't know, I think that Secret Invasion was weird because it felt very slow for the first few episodes, which I was fine with. But then out of nowhere in the final episode, it felt like they just realized they didn't have time to wrap everything up, and they started rushing through stuff that should have been central plot points. Like Rhodey coming out of the pods they have him in, and them not addressing when he was taken. It was like, Ross was like, Rhodey, how long have you been here? And they just don't say it.
In my movie in 3 years.
Yeah, literally. It's like, you'll find out in Armor Wars if that ever comes out. It's so annoying. Like, because they easily could have saved the fans just so much time, like yelling about when he could have been, because that's been some of the biggest discourse about the show is people arguing over when Rhodey was taken, and they could have sorted that out by just addressing when he was taken. But it's like, on top of that, it's like sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I've seen some people very angry about the fact that he's been taken since Civil War. I kind of like it. I think it opens up.
I don't mind it,
things. But I've seen people being like, it's the worst thing they've ever done. Like, I think it's kind of. I think that's one of the things I actually like from the show. I think that opens. Like, I think Armored Wars could be a very good movie if they set it up properly. Like, they have
absolutely.
Like that could be top tier MCU. I think, like, make it a. I don't want to say make it a sad movie, but make it a very dramatic movie, because this man. Like, he missed out. He's missing 10 years of his life. His best friend is dead. He missed all this war. So I think if you really do it well, it could be amazing.
Absolutely. I know I completely agree there, because like that's genuinely one of the things I'll defend Secret Invasion for, is that if they make Rhodey a Skrull since Civil War, like that's what Secret Invasion is. You know, if you don't want Avengers to be revealed to have been Skrulls during the last few projects, then why are you watching Secret Invasion? Because that's not the kind of show it would have been. Like, if they were taken between the most recent projects, then what's the point? Because you're not going to be going back and being like, oh, they were actually a Skrull now, because it doesn't matter, because they were taken after that project anyway. Like, the point about Secret Invasion is you're supposed to go, oh my god, this character I love was actually a Skrull when this other project happened. And I think that they're actually doing that with Rhodey, which is good. But on top of that, the storyline where they reveal that now there's like vigilantes going after Skrulls that are politicians and they're killing wrong people, that's so much more interesting than so much of what the final episodes were doing. That should have been the show. Why wasn't that the show?
There should have been a whole back half about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to keep like simping over like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's made me think, like, how cool would it have been if this was just a season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with like Nick Fury at
So
the
good.
center?
It would have been so good.
It'd be so good. Like the first half is them like slowly finding out who's who and what's what, and then the back half is everything's unleashed, and like that's their whole template. Is like the first half's one villain, second half's another, and it would have been so good. Like you could have done 2 or 3 seasons just based on that. Which is
like, imagine like a government official in a country not affiliated with the US or something like that. A vigilante kills a politician thinking they're a Skrull. They end up not being a Skrull. It causes international incident. Like that's so cool and it's so interesting. That's a better like that's what the Skrulls should have done because it makes more sense than what they were doing with getting nukes and all that from the Russians. I forget exactly what it was, but it was like I don't know. It's annoying because the last 5 minutes of the last episode presents an entirely better show than what we were given in my opinion.
100%. Yeah. No, like it makes me kind of want a season 2, but we're never getting a season 2.
Yeah.
Like it was not popular enough. People are too angry. Like it's currently like this is one thing I will say. Like it's currently like the lowest rated MCU project ever on like Rotten Tomatoes, and I think that's a little too harsh. I don't think it's that bad. Like I get a lot of people did the last episode, but like I prefer it over like Thor Love and Thunder and like Thor Dark World and stuff like that. Like I don't think it's that bad.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty, moving along here. Next up, we have Hawkeye. I feel like we haven't talked too much about Hawkeye. So I'm very
not really. Maybe when it first came out, we talked a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely did when it first came out. But because I'm thinking like we talk about everything. Yeah, of course we talk about Hawkeye. I'll be honest, my memory isn't the greatest on the show because I rewatched the first episode before.
You rewatched everything? How dare you?
So I haven't seen episodes 4 to 6. Sorry, episodes 2 to 6 since they first aired. I remember like the major things, like Yelena, how that tied into Black Widow, kind of Kingpin, the tracksuit mafia guys. I remember really liking episode 2 when they had like the Ant-Man arrows and everything. That was all really cool. I don't think I liked Hawkeye as much as you did. How did you feel about it?
About what?
I'm pretty sure you love it, about Hawkeye.
The show? Just in general? No, I mean, I'll be honest, I love Hawkeye. I think it's very similar to WandaVision for me, where I think it's honestly the one Marvel project out of everything where, like, I know it has its issues. I know it's not the best.
Yeah.
But I love it so much. I loved every episode so much. I had so much fun. I love the Christmas vibe. I just love Christmas stuff. Like Christmas, like superheroes and Christmas are always just such a great combination to me.
Yeah.
I loved Kate Bishop a lot. I think her back and forth with Clint is amazing. I just love that we finally gave Clint a project because I think he's really good and he has that stronghold to make the show really good. I know a lot of people don't like Kingpin here, but we got freaking Kingpin in the main MCU.
I know, yeah, that itself is pretty insane.
We got Lena in here, which is one of I think her and Kate are such a great like friendship. Like they're so much fun. It's just like a fun like superhero Christmas special, and I love it. It's my number 2, just give how much I loved it. Like it's
my number 4.
That's pretty close. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No, I liked it. I think there's enough pieces in there that it's a really good show. There's little bits here or there. I think that like the back half of the show I don't like nearly as much as the first half of the show. But I mean that's most of these Disney Plus shows is that the back half isn't as strong for most of them.
Yeah.
But I think like in general there were a lot of really cool pieces there. I think the way they delved into Clint's backstory as Ronin a little bit was really interesting. I thought that was really good. Kate Bishop was great. Tying that into Black Widow with Yelena was really good. And then I didn't love Vincent's Kingpin in this as much as I did in like Daredevil season 1, 2, and 3. But I mean that's to be expected. Daredevil had some of the best comic book TV characters of all time. Like there's no way they were going to get Kingpin in any way similar. But I thought like just the fact we got him back at all was really cool. Echo is a character I need to see more of to really get my opinion on. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see the TV show Echo, like how that build on what Hawkeye has brought up and what Hawkeye's established. But yeah, I think it's a solid show. I wish my memory was better on it, but I do remember just enjoying most of it. And yeah, it being set in Christmas was great. I remember the discourse over people saying that it was going to tie into No Way Home because they. Well, I mean, I guess it did because they mentioned the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
The like it getting rebuilt, but I remember people were like, Spider-Man's going to show up in the final because they were in the area where he's swinging at the end of No Way Home, and I was like, damn, that'd be awesome, and that didn't happen, and people were angry it didn't happen. But I mean, that was
You can't be angry.
You can't be angry at that. Like,
No.
there was absolutely nothing to say that he would have been in it. It just so happens that it was wintry in both shows, and they're in New York, or I guess in both projects.
Yeah, no.
That's
I
good.
mean, I think that's a big issue with Marvel at the moment because I think we just let our expectations run wild, especially with these shows. I think almost every one of them, like She-Hulk had the like Daredevil thing, Hawkeye had the Kingpin stuff and the Spider-Man stuff, and obviously WandaVision had the Mephisto thing and the Doctor Strange and all that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're just too smart by this point. Like, I think we literally spend years and years of like predicting and talking about these shows in preparation for them coming out, and
scoopers just say things as well.
Yeah, it's
say
hard.
Things, they get expectations running wild.
Stranger said, breaking news, a Marvel DC parody series in the works at HBO. Didn't we hear about that a while ago? Wasn't that announced?
I think so. It sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, I didn't
like
see
the
official
franchise or something like that. Wasn't it called?
I tried looking for it. I didn't see anything. I mean, I'm down with it. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of those nowadays, though. Like, it feels like The Boys, Invincible, Harley Quinn.
I think this HBO show was like, I think it's about people like in a fictional version of the film industry trying to make a cinematic universe rather than it actually being a franchise sort of thing.
It's not about superheroes,
sort of thing.
Yeah. Interesting. That's kind of like Barry a little bit, right? Like Barry was always making fun of the MCU and stuff like that.
A little bit.
My buddy Noah in the house. How's it going, buddy? Noah, we will have to do something soon, all right, bud? Noah said, I'm wondering, are your theories concerning what Marvel's plans are doing with Echo? Do you think she will be part of the Dark Avengers or any other theories?
I'm worried they'll drop the character. I'm worried they'll drop the character if the show isn't what they want.
I don't know, because we had heard that, like, or I get maybe it's just theories, but like Echo, Daredevil, and Spider-Man would be like a mini trilogy of sorts, right? Kind of leading into this like Kingpin arc type thing.
I think so.
We don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of been what I like. It's very like street level set of characters. I'm definitely very worried for Echo, man. I think the Echo hate is so insane because everyone, like, no one seems to be very excited for it. And there's a bit of like people not wanting women's shows, and that's a thing, that's an issue. There's a lot of people who don't know the character, but I would argue that's not always a bad thing. Like, you want new characters you've never heard of. That's where you become fans of these characters. So I don't know.
For me, the Echo show is going to make or break the character for me. And like how I feel about the character, it's going to solidify how I feel about it. I think it's not great that Marvel apparently doesn't have faith in the show and they're just considering dropping it out of nowhere. Like, that's pretty bad. Like, it kind of makes you wonder what the marketing is going to be like. And to be honest, if the show was, because the show was supposed to come out in November, they're going to need to start their marketing push soon, because Loki has had the first teaser for Loki season 2 was a couple months ago, I think, and the first proper trailer was about a month ago, and that comes out early October. So that's like a whole month before when Echo is supposed to come out.
I think like the production behind Echo proves one of my issues with the MCU right now is that like they have to have such a fast pace of production. Like they can't pause. And they said that they weren't done with the show and they had to wrap it up. And that scary. Like, that's our issues with all the shows. Like, they don't feel done. They feel like, okay, we got to wrap it up now. That's terrifying, especially with like this seeming like this can't, like, Daredevil can't come out without this coming out, because this is like a prequel almost. To
Daredevil's supposed to be in it, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, and Matt and Kingpin are both in it. Like there's even rumors about Jessica Jones being in it as well. I don't think she is, but that was a rumor for a while. So I don't know. Like I have a feeling people are just going to watch the Matt ones. Like, I think they're going to find out which one Matt.
Yeah,
and
people
Kingpin
did
are
that for She-Hulk as well.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it's going to be weird, like 24 hours of when that comes out. Because again, they're dropping all 8 episodes at once or something.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to be fair though, I'm kind of excited for the prospect of another Marvel show that's having like 8 episodes drop at once. Like the Netflix years, I remember being so excited getting up at 8 in the morning because like Netflix still drop at 8 in the morning here. So I remember just like some of my favorite memories are getting up at 8 a.m. and just immediately spending the entire day binging a Marvel show. Like the day that I spent binging Daredevil season 3 was one of my favorite like TV watching experiences. So I'm kind of excited to do that again if Echo drops all at once.
Mm-hmm. I want to catch up on chat real quick. Speaking of Barry, how are you guys liking the Flash sequel, The Midnight Circus? So you
I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, it's not available to you, right? It's not.
No. Yeah, you can only get through Apple Music, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't have Apple Music.
I mean, we've been covering this every week on the pipeline with Taz, and we've loved it. We've said it's been amazing. I actually preferred the podcast over the Flash movie and Flash season 9. Weirdly enough, crazy enough, it's fun. It's fun. It's like Hunger Games mixed with DC, and it's a blast. I haven't watched episode 9 yet, or episode 7, 8, whatever episode it is.
Damn, they did a lot of them then. I don't know why I thought there wasn't that many.
I think it's episode 6. I think they released 6 episodes. It's over now, but I'm waiting for Taz to be back to listen to episode 6, and then we'll talk about it on that episode. But it's been good. I'm excited to see how they wrap it all up.
Yeah.
The Echo hate is wild. I feel like she could definitely be their best original underdog character going forward. Well, she's not an original character, right? She's from the comics.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
That's what I thought. But no, I agree. I think she could be great.
Yeah, unless they mean like new character going forward, which I agree. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm only watching for Daredevil and Kingpin. If they're smart, they will have them be the like promotion. Like they will do interviews with like those 3. Yeah. Echo, Matt, and Kingpin.
And honestly, they need like don't like it's Echo's show. Don't take it away from the character of Echo, but I think you still need to have Daredevil and Kingpin in it enough that the entirety of the promotion for Echo isn't people yelling, "Where is Daredevil? Where is the Kingpin?" You know, like you don't want another situation like all your Disney Plus shows where people are asking for a character. You know.
Yeah, I think they're also very smart about like announcing them up front that they are in the show, right? Like there's not the like Hawkeye thing where it's like maybe he's in it, but maybe not. We got so sidetracked though. We have 3 here.
Yeah, I guess I just realized Echo isn't a Marvel show that is already out.
No. Up next we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Cool.
What are your thoughts on Falcon? Because I think we're kind of different on this as well.
I liked it when I first saw it, like back March 2021, I think it was. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't love the first episode, but then I thought the second episode was like a really cool little attachment and a little bit of kind of companion piece to the Winter Soldier and Civil War. And I have the kind of the problems everybody has with it, where I thought that the Sharon Powerbroker stuff is a bit weird, that the Flag Smashers and Carly aren't the best villains. But I rewatched it yesterday and I was like, this is so good. This is fantastic. It's my number 1 now. Like it went slightly ahead of Loki for me. Because I was rewatching, and maybe it's because I was binging it, but I was like, this just feels like a really good companion piece to Winter Soldier and Civil War. Like you've got like the John Walker stuff is so interesting as a character. The way he goes about being the new Captain America is so it's realistic. It feels like how a real person who ended up getting super soldier power, super serum powers would be if they got the Captain America mantle. I think that the way that they handled Sam and Bucky, the dynamic there was great. By the end of the show, I want to see Sam and Bucky and everything just together. Like, I don't want to see Sam or Bucky on their own anymore. I want those 2 characters just together all the time because they complement each other so well. The backstory into Sam, like the way he's trying to get his family's boat up and running and all that again, and the way Bucky shows up to help him, it's so good. And then Bucky teaching Sam some Captain America tips, helping him when he's training with the shield and all that. It's just, I felt like it was a really well put together show. Like genuinely, the only things I don't like about it is that I wish the Flag Smasher stuff was better, and I think that the Sharon, like I genuinely think that you could have gotten rid of the Sharon Power Broker stuff, and not a whole lot about the show would have changed. Bringing in the Dora Milaje and Zemo were both fantastic choices as well. Like they both worked really well. Like the scene where the Dora Milaje are just handing John Walker and Battlestar and Bucky and Sam their asses is so good. It's one of the best showcases of them in the entire MCU, in my opinion. Like they're great in the Black Panther films and in Avengers Infinity War as well, but there's just something about them just absolutely like handing the main characters their asses that's so satisfying and fun to watch that I really enjoyed. And also one thing that's understated about it that I feel like doesn't get brought up enough is the fact that they got Henry Jackman, who did the Civil War and Winter Soldier soundtrack, back to do the soundtrack for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which makes it just feel like it's a fourth film. Like it makes it just feel like, now I know that that's a problem. It's a show. It's supposed to feel like a show, but I feel like there's enough gap between each episode that it still works really well as a show within itself. But it also, if you binge it, it works as a movie, as like a fourth movie as well. But I think that it's paced really well. It doesn't feel like the show was rushed, but it doesn't feel like the show was slow either. It feels like they have exactly the amount of content they need to fill out the 6 episodes. Now I don't think the final episode is nearly as good as the first 5 episodes. I think that the final, it still has some good pieces, but in general, it's a step down. But yeah, I love that show. Like I really liked it.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is a show I loved when it aired. I loved it every week, but I think it was one that like over time after hearing people talk about it, it did slightly go down for me. Yeah. It's my number 5, but I almost feel like I think it might be one that I will like more once I rewatch it, once I revisit it for sure. I agree with everything.
This is probably the show that we've like the most difference on.
Maybe. Yeah, no. But I like this is the one I was talking about before where like my number 5, my number 4 can swap because I love both those shows a lot, but both kind of have issues. Again, I think the Flag Smashers are probably one of the worst Marvel villains just in the world, just in the way that they're so forgettable. Like I don't remember those characters. Like they're really like they're not good. And I do think that pulls it down a little bit. But again, I love Sam and Bucky. Like they are easily some of the best like friendships in like the MCU. I think they're really great. John Walker walks this line where like you kind of love to hate this man. Like he sucks, but it's also like his storyline's very compelling. Like he was given this job and he's just trying his best to uphold it in the best way he can in his warped mind and you know what he does. And like I think that scene where like he gets the blood on the shield is still one of the most iconic shots in like Phase 4.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Zemo is really great as well. It's fun having him back. Even though maybe we'd fix it up just a little bit and the stuff they did with him. And I hope he comes back soon. Like I don't like we heard he's not in like the Thunderbolts, but maybe he's in Captain America 4. Like I don't know what we're doing with the character, but I hope he got something to do with him soon. I will say though, the one thing I really liked is, and again, like talking about like Phase 4 could be a sequel to Endgame. I think this and Secret Invasion did this very well, where there did feel like there was consequences for the snap. And I liked seeing this side of the superhero life where he's currently not being a superhero, but he's still facing the consequences. Like he's trying to get a loan to buy his like family's boat or like whatever it is, and he can't because there aren't like those things in place for superheroes. Like they weren't getting paid for being superheroes, and they're kind of in this weird position. And I thought that was genius. Like I loved seeing those side effects. And again, like the stuff between Sam and Bucky, the whole therapy session was really great.
Yeah, therapy was great.
Yeah, it's good. I honestly like now I kind of want to go back and like rewatch it because I might enjoy it.
Oh, please do. It's so good. But then, like, and something I forgot to mention as well is like Isaiah, the other Captain America from the 50s, from the Korean War. Like that's such a cool addition, and it's something that it builds on the lore of the MCU, but it doesn't build on it in a way that you're like, oh, this doesn't make sense in context, or like this is a weird thing that hasn't been brought up before. Why are they bringing it up now? Like, no, that's something that you think about. And you're like, the Korean War, Winter Soldier faced another Captain America in the Korean War. It's Isaiah, and he's got like he's just really like shitty at the world now after how he's been treated for the last couple decades. That's so interesting and it's so cool. I really hope that they bring that character back, just like for even just a supporting role, in the next Captain America movie, just for Sam to go to for advice or something like that. I think could be really interesting. I think like they might do that with Zemo for Bucky, where Zemo's in a prison, Bucky's gonna visit him like once a project or something like that, and kind of just like talk to him. Like it's they don't like each other way, but there's an understanding there. There's like a respect. And I think Bucky and Zemo, I could see them doing that. So I could see Zemo coming back in whatever maybe the project after Thunderbolts is for Bucky.
I think Thunderbolts might be a franchise actually, so I could definitely, I could see 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah.
Noah said, I agree with his analysis of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was a solid story, good pacing, and explores new and old characters in new and exciting ways. I do feel bad for John Walker, actor. I 100% agree with that. He did get a lot of hate online just for playing a character, which is always...
He played him well. He played him really well.
Oh, no, he was great. I thought he was one of the more interesting parts of that show, to be honest.
Yeah.
Alrighty, final 2 here. Next up, I have What If's a weird one. Because
What If is one that changed a lot for me when I rewatched it.
I you know what? I really enjoyed What If. I think for what If was, I had a lot of fun. And I do want to say, I outside of my bottom 2, I really enjoyed What If.
Yeah, that's fair. It was my number 2 for a while. Like I think the last ranking I did, like right before Shield came out, I put it at number 2. But I genuinely think like my opinion of it might have been shaped by a few of the episodes. Like the Doctor Strange episode is a 5 out of 5 episode for me, and even on rewatch now, I was like, that is still a 5 out of 5 episode. Like that's fantastic. And I really liked the one where Hank Pym is like going around killing the Avengers, like before they become the Avengers. And then the final 2 with Ultron and with the Watcher having actually intervene are really good as well. Now at the moment I have it at 6. It moved down from 2 to 6.
Oh wow!
But I think that's just because some of the other episodes in there on rewatch, I was like, damn, these really aren't as good as I remember. Like the Party Thor episode, I still really don't like. I don't think that's very good at all. The Captain Carter episode, the first one, I remember liking it. I thought it was pretty good before, and this time I was like, it's just fine. Like I think some of them were like that. I didn't hate any episode really, but it was kind of a huge difference. There were some fantastic ones for me, and then a lot of mid ones.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just hard to rank What If among the other ones because they're very different shows and what they're trying to do. Like this is a episodic, week to week, random kind of, like each episode is a different thing. And I think that is, it's just hard to rank. And like the first couple are like 9 to 10s for me, and then you have the Party Thor, which is like a 5. And I do think that's why it does again rank lower for me. And I do have a hard time.
Sorry, where'd you put it again on your ranking?
Mine's number 7.
Okay.
So pretty close.
Right, so we're right beside each other.
Yeah, pretty close. Bottom 3, but again, I like my top 7. I enjoy all those shows. Like I think, like for different reasons, but I think they all kind of exist in that almost same tier outside of maybe my top 3. Like they exist in the I really like that, but they have their issues kind of area. But like that, like Doctor Strange one, brilliant, absolutely amazing. I love the like Star-Lord one. I think that's a lot of fun. And you know, it's just, I think the concept is really fun.
Where's season 2? Where is it? What'd they do with it?
Yeah, it needs to come out.
They delete it from the server accidentally. They can't get it back. No, yeah, definitely. Like this is the one that I was saying is interchangeable with WandaVision for me. Whereas depending on my mood, I feel like I could bump either of them. Yeah.
Alrighty, moving on. 2 more. I actually forgot to write one, but I remembered it now, so we're good.
Okay.
Up next we have Moon Knight.
Okay.
Good old Moon Knight. I want to start here by saying I don't like Moon Knight at all. It's my last. It's my number 9.
Okay.
And I think it's just a me thing. I really do. Like, because a lot of people like the show. did not find a single episode interesting. I was bored through the entire thing. And again, I know a lot of people love the show. I would even say like it's better than a lot of the shows I have up above it.
Yeah.
But just for me personally, I did not enjoy a single thing about Moon Knight.
Yeah. This was the most disappointing Marvel Disney Plus show for me until Secret Invasion came out.
Mm-hmm.
I would at 7.
Yeah,
but
fair.
I mean, some of it, I still think some of it's pretty cool. I still think Oscar Isaac's great in the role or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, I really wasn't a fan of how they'd jump over so much important things happening. And then, like I get why they were doing it. They were playing it off so that you were confused. You're feeling kind of like they're throwing you off as a viewer so that you're feeling as disoriented as Oscar Isaac's character is when he comes out as whichever version of the character. And I get that, but I also don't love that we're skipping over huge chunks of story just so that they can. It reminds me of there was this Tom Cruise film called Night and Day that it does this thing where like Tom Cruise and this female character, she's like going along with Tom Cruise for the ride, but she keeps passing out, and every time she wakes up there's like a huge action set piece happening in the background in a different location, and Tom Cruise's character is like, oh, you're awake, and then she passes out again, and then she wakes up and there's another huge action set piece. Now that it was fine because they actually had other things happening that were just as interesting. But with Moon Knight, I felt like the stuff we were skipping over was more interesting than what we were actually seeing. I know, and I think that like you have Ethan Hawke, and I just feel like
he was a terrible villain. He was like you get these big actors and actresses, like you are getting all these big performers in all these projects. Like I feel like most of the time they're wasted, and that's always very disappointing. It's a weird show. For me, I don't even I don't even have issues with the show. I just don't like it. Like I think that really is at the end of the day for me. And like again, I can't justify why I don't like it. It's just I find it boring. Didn't like it. I
mean, that's fair though. Like I think if I was to think of all of the MCU shows, I would definitely say Moon Knight is the most just nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Like that's of any interest sort of show.
I think I also set myself up for failure because again, I don't know about Moon Knight. I'm not like a fan of the comics, so I was under the impression like everyone said he is MCU's Batman, and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. He's nothing like Batman, at least what the show did. Like, there's nothing kind of. I didn't like. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of like all the like gods and kind of what they did with that. And maybe people liked it. I just wasn't a fan. I thought what they did where like they were in the like asylum. I thought that episode was pretty cool and kind of to see his backstory. Like I thought that was the best one. And then the like next one is their big like kaiju battle, and I was like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, like I'm over it, sort of thing. No, I completely agree with all that as well. It's like. Yeah, I think that the show, it jumped around a lot. Like it portrayed some things as being realistic and serious, and then out of nowhere you've got this huge gods thing with the hippo character and all that sort of stuff coming in, and you're like,
great.
It did look great, but you're like, what is this show supposed to be?
Yeah,
sort of thing. It's which I get, like I get why they're doing that, but it's just, to me, it felt like it was a little all over the place. I also just didn't like that Feige kept saying beforehand that this was easily the most gritty thing that Marvel have done. And they were like comparing it to Daredevil and everything. And then you watch it and it's like, well, maybe the fight scenes are gritty and real, but we're skipping over all of them, so we can't tell.
Yeah.
Like...
That like trailer is great. Like the end of the trailer with them just like pounding on the guy. I was like, okay, this is different.
It looks real.
Yeah. Let me look over my chat real quick. Stranger really liked Moon Knight, and I'm very happy for you.
That's fair. That's fair. I had a really good soundtrack.
Yeah. Noah, hey Darren, do you have any plans of covering Across the Spider-Verse? So I've talked probably about 5 hours about Across the Spider-Verse.
You did Mount Everest, didn't you?
I did. Me and Everest did one on my channel. Me and my buddy Tazz, we talked about it for like 2 hours. And then over on Party Nation, we talked about it for 2 hours. So I've talked about Across the Spider-Verse a lot. The stream from a couple months ago by this point should be up on the channel. if you're interested in catching that. If you want, I can link it later. The Moon Knight season finale definitely felt more like a mid-season finale. Fair enough.
Moon Knight's also a character where I'm like, and this is just Disney Plus problems in general at the moment. When are we seeing the character again?
Yeah.
Like, we're going so long without seeing these characters. But Moon Knight's an interesting one because there's absolutely no indicator of where he'll actually show up next.
He's so, like, on its own.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, if you want him to just be out there somewhere without crossing over, that's fine for me. I would assume at some point they do, like, a Midnight Suns type project where they cross between, like we have the, like, Werewolf Project as well, which I felt like that could cross over. We have Blade and stuff like that. So I assume we'll do something along those lines at some point. But, like,
Blade ever comes out, the amount of problems it's having.
10 years when it finally comes out. All right, our last one here, the one I forgot to put in, is Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. Now, I think we have a pretty similar opinion on Miss Marvel.
I remember we talked about it quite a lot when it came out. I remember in our Discord chat, we were the big defenders of it when everyone was like, not loving it. But I'd like it. I'm gonna guess it's 2 for you, right? Number 2.
2 was Hawkeye. No.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
What's yours?
Are we both 3?
WandaVision is my 3. Miss Marvel is my 4.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think, like, we're pretty much the same in that it was good, and then middle of it was kind of and then it picked up a little bit again at the end. That was
it. I mean, I love Miss Marvel a lot. Like, those first 2, I was blown away by it. Like, I'm loving the show so much. And then episode 3, 4, and 5, they go back to, like, her home and stuff like that, and they spend it there. And most of that I don't think is even bad, but there is such like it felt like 2 separate seasons, and I really wish that's what it was. Like, I wish they spent the first the first 6 episodes are her in her city, going to school, being a superhero. Like, you have a villain that pops in, but whatever. And then season 2 is her going to her home and finding her origins and stuff like that. And I think it would be paced much better. This is one of those shows where I think 6 episodes just wasn't enough. Like, I wanted this to be at least an 8-episode show, a 9-episode show. Like, it could have been a 13-episode show. I think it could have been paced like what the Netflix shows did as well. Like, I think it feels like that. And I think, like, this is one of the shows that does feel somewhat like a show, at least in those first 2. Like, it feels like we're just following her coming of age story. And I like that a lot. I love the characters in here. I think the character of Miss Marvel is what really saves the show, because she is so likable. She is so... I love the character. I love the actress. She's so much fun. Seeing just, like, the fangirl in her having a blast and going to this con. And I love how artsy it is. Like, those first 2 and a little bit of the last episode, like, it is some of the most artsy I think an MC project has ever been. You know what I mean?
It, along with WandaVision and Loki, are easily the most visually interesting of the Disney Plus shows, in my opinion. I would put Miss Marvel just below WandaVision in terms of how visually and stylistically cool it is. Yeah. But it's like right there as well. Like, those first few episodes are so cool. Like, the way that they do all the transitions and the way that they've got all the backgrounds. Look, it's really interesting. I think that Kamala is the most consistently good part of the whole show. Like,
she's great.
Throughout the entire 6 episodes, she's great. She's really good. You can instantly see her character alongside Captain Marvel in the Marvels. Like, it's going to be great seeing all that. But yeah, I think that it does feel like 2 separate seasons. I think, like, they should have went for maybe a 12-episode show. Yeah. And then do 2 6-episode arcs inside of that season. One of those arcs is when they do the flashbacks, and when they do kind of the backstory and all of that. The other arc is kind of just the present day stuff in New York. I know it's an interesting show. Like, I think it just, I mean, it's my number 3, so obviously I do like it. I definitely think that it started off on a trajectory of potentially being a near perfect Marvel project or a near perfect MCU project, and then it veered off because they decided to do something that they probably shouldn't held off on, or they probably should have done in a later project. And it just, in general, it felt super inconsistent. Like, even those episodes where they do the flashbacks and stuff like that, they're not bad. they're just nowhere near as good or as interesting as what
Yeah.
had been set up in the first 3.
Yeah, no, I mean, like episode 3, 4, and 5, right? They're like in her home country, and
Yeah.
like I didn't love those as much as other people, but hearing how people loved seeing that, I would never want to take it away from them as well.
No, absolutely.
Like there's
Yeah.
so many people who are like, I've never seen it like represented on screen before, and it meant so much to me. I was like, so just for that alone, the show's worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I think it could have been done even better if they did put it off, or maybe that's just a whole show is her
Yeah.
going to her home country, and that's where she finds them, and that's the
Yeah.
season. Like that works too. I hope, like, I know it's rumored to want to get a second season. I hope it's true. I hope like after the Marvels comes out, they announce it or something.
Yeah.
Because I want to see more of her. I think she's great. I think this actress is amazing. She like this was her first like acting gig ever. So I think
Yeah.
like seeing her she's just a great actress, and I know she's
Yeah.
currently
Yeah.
writing the like comic where they're like mixing like mutant powers and like the inhuman powers. I think is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think that like Kamala is going to be a pretty big face of the MCU going forward, or of Marvel going forward. I feel like characters like her are going to be what the next generation of the MCU is going to need to bank on pretty heavily, like her, Kate Bishop, Yelena, those sort of characters. But yeah, I think, and you're completely right as well, as that I can't exactly complain or say that I'm not. I wish they didn't do some of the flashback stuff, because other people liked it so much, and like that stuff wasn't for me. It wasn't meant to be for me. I don't identify with any of that. I can't attach to any of that, so it wasn't meant for me. So it's not my place to say, hey, I wish they didn't do that. You know, it's like, so I completely agree in that sense. It's the same as like the Inhumans thing everybody's giving out about. I know a lot of people really didn't like that, but a lot of people really did like the change for various reasons, because it meant something more to them, because they tied it more to Kamala's lineage and Kamala's background. And it's the same thing. Whereas, sure, I would have liked to have seen the Inhumans properly brought in, and for that to confirm them as characters existing in the main MCU. But that change means a lot to other people. It's not my place to say, hey, you shouldn't have done that, because it doesn't affect me at the end of the day.
I also just think that gives her more opportunities in the MCU, like especially for not focusing a lot on the Inhumans. Like obviously we have the Black Bolt stuff and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if we ever bring them back into the fold. But like mutants
it's gonna happen.
Like mutants, I would assume, is going to be the main fold in phase 7, 8, 9. Like it seems like that is like the mutant saga is ahead of us, and I think Kamala Khan could almost, not the lead, right? Because we have a lot of X-Men that would be that.
Yeah, I feel like they'll want to do a traditional X-Men sort of lineup. I feel like that doesn't have like Wolverine at the front.
Yeah, I mean, but I could see her like giving Kamala Khan like a rogue kind of placement in in their team. Maybe not movie 1, but like maybe by movie 2.
Yeah.
Bring her in, have her be that like young character that the others have to like train and bring under their belt and stuff like that. And I'm fine with it. As long as they don't make Daisy a mutant, I'm fine.
But that's my biggest fear at the moment, is that a new person is going to get cast as Daisy Johnson. She's going to be revealed as a new person working with Fury, and she's going to be a mutant. And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fandom is going to be on a meltdown and explode, and everyone's freak out.
Yeah. Kata, our good buddy here, Miss Marvel was my favorite of the MCU shows, and I'm glad to hear it.
Completely understand that.
Yeah, I think there's, I think all these shows, as we've kind of got through all 9 of them now, I think they all have like there's very few where I could be like, oh, I don't think it should be your number 1. You know what I mean? Like I think I think they're all pretty valid.
Yeah.
Depending on kind of what you like. And this was a pretty interesting mix up. Like we had a pretty drastically different lineup, I guess.
Yeah. I think like in general, a lot of our feelings are pretty similar to the shows, but just where we're putting them is quite different.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the fun of opinions, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So Connor, thank you for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, no problem.
This was a lot of fun. It's always a bunch of fun. It's always a blast having you on. This part of the show is normally where we shout out any updates that we might have that we're working on. Is there anything that you're working on that like you're really excited about?
Working on, not really. What am I doing? What am I up to? I'm gonna try and get back properly into the YouTube video game. I made 2 videos last month, which was really fun making them again. I was planning on doing it again pretty consistently, but like started a new job, so it was kind of hard to keep doing that. Gonna get back into it. I think whenever you're doing your Agents of Shield rewatch, I'd love to have you on for a little ranking of the seasons.
We will have to do that. I'm hoping soon. I'm hoping to finishing it up soon. And
Cool.
that would be very fun to see where we both rank things.
Yeah, I'm really interested because I know that in terms of like season 2 and I think just season 2 is what we feel pretty drastically different on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be fun to talk about that and see where we feel.
Absolutely. Well, Connor, thank you so much. All of Connor's links should be linked down below, along with my things. Just for stuff I'm working on. Going to be a kind of. I have something maybe coming out end of the week, but besides that, it's going to be kind of a slow week for me. Thank you everyone who chatted with us today. Our like morning streams don't normally do as well, but we had a lot of people in chatting with us. We had Stranger here the whole time. Stranger, thank you. Kato was here. Kato was here. Always good to see Kato. Kato, we have to do something soon, man. We have to have you on here at one point. Noah, same to you. It's been a while. How to have you on here. Everyone who popped in earlier. Red Arrow was in here, our good buddy.
Yeah, we had the whole gang.
Yeah, we had Lance, we had Arcanize, we had Promo Central. We kind of had our whole group hanging in here and popping on and saying hi. But without further ado, guys, I will see y'all next week. I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye-bye.